Mr. Hudspeth.
Good evening, Gary Hudspeth, 1471 Resolute Street. Just 30 or 45 seconds on a topic that you don't expect me to talk about. And that is the final check. No,
okay.
the final, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You're eating up the time.
Yeah.
The final checklist item for the playground is to make sure that it drains away from the center. Remember, we had a drainage problem for years at the CCFC fields, and we still haven't solved it yet. But we have a great opportunity here to make sure that it actually drains rainwater to the edge of the center. I would hate to have it built and then find out that we have an inch or two of puddling and ponding every time it rains and the kids can't play.
Yep, that's fair.
How you can test that easily is with a basketball, let it roll to all the sides.
Thanks, Gary.
That was 36 seconds. Nicely done.
I took up 20 of them.
Shit. All right, Mr. Capilli.
Yes.
Capilli, you want to speak?
I did want to, but we're already on the agenda.
Okay.
We're at the end for the 51 proposal.
Okay, perfect.
I'm sorry. And
Nope, you're good. And Debbie?
yeah, she's also going to be with
Same.
me.
Okay. All right, anyone online? Mr. Larson?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. We can.
Great, thanks. I just wanted to make a couple of comments around the master plan and potential funding. I watched the master plan meeting last night. It was terrific. I think they're doing a good job. You know, more work to do, but good so far. The comment I wanted to make is about funding, though. There's lots of ways to fund what will be the ultimate recommendations. There are capital funds that CROA has. There are assessments. There's loans that CROA can make. I know there's some noise that CROA cannot take out loans, but I don't believe that's true. There's fees that could be increased, all of which are legitimate options for funding. The one I have concerns about is the CCDD proposal to issue bonds under CCDD, which would be have the result of making and funding an Osceola County facility, not a celebration facility. And as I'm sure you all know, if CROA funds something, it's a celebration amenity. If CCD funds something with bonds, it's an Osceola County amenity. So I think there's a couple of concerns there. On the June 25th meeting, CCDD made two assertions. One that is that CCDs, do this kind of stuff all the time. And secondly, fees and rules could be set up so that Osceola County residents wouldn't want to use the facility. I think both need an independent analysis, and I hope CROA will take that on. Regarding what CDDs do, there's lots of HOAs, CDDs in Florida. How many of them have actually developed recreational areas? And in particular, how many have developed a community center at the cost of some $40 million? Regarding the second assertion that there's no problem with it being an Osceola County facility, we'll just make rules and stuff so that nobody comes. I think that needs a serious legal review. The board has stated publicly that they would intend to raise bonds to build an Osceola County facility, but generate and set rules and fees so that nobody would come other than celebration residents. To me, that screams out for a legal issue, and I'm afraid that we would be put at some legal exposure should we go ahead with that. So basically, my request is that CROA, take a hard look at those kinds of assertions. It needs to be an independent review. I don't think CCDD should be reviewing their own proposal. As you may know, there's another meeting on July 30th with CCDD board.
We're at 3 minutes. Yeah, we're at 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
All
They're
right,
moving ahead, guys, though. Better watch it.
All right, thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay, apologies. We've got a really lengthy agenda. Usually we give a little grace, but a lot to get through. All right, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move to adopt the agenda. I'd like to make a change. I want to put for motion action item H. I'd like to divide that into two separate motions. One, which will be A, the submotion would be approve as is, and B would be to approve as is with an additional amount to cover landscape screening, not to exceed $10,000.
H in,
Saying $10,000 per site or total?
I think total.
we're in the Eco Lab, right?
Anything beyond that, I think we need to relook at it.
I'll do the motion.
Like 1,500 sites.
Yeah, it's like $1,500.
Can I also request before, there's a little bit of investment that needs to be made, and I'll put that on your workshop agenda.
Okay, so
I'll amend the motion to also remove item G4.
G4, Celebration Little League, striking agenda. Other adjustments. One thing, I thought about moving discussion, the parks review by Exquisite Elwood up ahead of the action items, just because that may set the table for some of these, but I'm open to.
I'll amend my existing motion to move discussion item M, or, no, B, sorry. Move discussion item B prior to action items.
That would be between consent agenda and.
Want to move it to A. And is in there today.
Well, I'm not moving all of the,
The pine straw?
Yeah, I want to talk about that while we're discussing.
oh, I see what you're saying. Move the action item
And to A.
is the first one? Okay,
After this,
that
okay,
makes sense.
okay. Anything else? Katie?
I'm good.
Need a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
You amend to
Yep.
all of that
All of that.
stuff, okay. All right, have all that, H, approve as is, Celts one, substitutes. G4, move discussion item B prior to action items, move M to A. Good,
Good.
good, okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Approval of minutes. We will just approve these in bulk. Anyone?
Motion to approve.
Oh, second.
Discussion? Andrew, second. Celia?
The only discussion that I had was we can approve minutes even if there wasn't a quorum. Right.
Anything else? Katie?
No.
Oh, hey, Don.
Good.
Don, we're just approving minutes. Okay?
Got it. I'm going to keep my mic off because the AC is very loud here, so.
Good deal, Casey. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All
Aye.
right. That's approved. Financials. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello. Sorry, I'm not there in person today. I'm still out of town. I'll be with you soon enough. So for the June financials, we did have some high expenses in a couple areas. However, year to date, we are still 10,000 better than budget. Well, not better than budget. We're 10,000 surplus for the year. So the high expenses in June were in landscaping, as some more passive parks are getting brought up to par, and pool chemicals and repairs. For the year so far, the fund balances for operating is at 1.97 million. For reserves is a little over 2 million. And in the capital fund, we have 3.8 million. Does anybody have any specific questions regarding June for me? I have a question.
Just some comments. So on page 16, under the CROA projects, the reserve and capital numbers aren't correct. So there will be a revision to that provided. Items like shade structures and bathrooms and things of that nature would either be a combination of reserve and capital or entirely capital. So monthly figures there. Hopefully Jen can have it to us shortly.
Yes, just in general, I think it's fortunate we have a surplus so far through the year. I know we have a number of operating items tonight that we're looking to approve. And if we do approve a majority or all of them, we will be looking at a six-figure loss for this year on the operating expense.
How would you look at it for a six-figure loss?
Pools,
60,000 for rent.
Yeah.
Grand Manners, 30,000 for pools, 10,000 for smart web. It adds up quickly. And
It adds up
wasn't budgeted.
to over $1.97 million?
No, it's the budget.
You said operating.
Yeah, operating loss from the budget of 2024 was.
he said six figure. not-
You won't eat into your fund balance. As, you're not gonna delete your fund balance, you're
Well,
still
we
gonna
have
have a
to
fund
fix
balance.
what we have to fix.
Well, that's the thing where there's a lot of items that we as a board are taking on as far as a town architect, a landscape architect, changing tools of legal labs, things of this nature that were not part of the original budget. So
How is
you've seen that around town, the quality and condition of our parks and playgrounds and pools aren't up to our standards. So there is additional expense that our board is doing. We believe it's justified and important so that our home can enjoy the amenities and things of that nature. So I want to, since we're halfway through the year, want to make sure that's there, that we are going to be going over the 2024 budget. And these are things that, as we start 2025, to make sure they're accounted for appropriately. The only other thing I would address is, if you can pull 15, look on the side for repairs. We've already gone through 82% of the budget for the year. I think that was underestimated at the beginning of the year, so over can be a foregone conclusion. But something that for next year, do we need to up? Or are we going to do 13 Sundays at the end of the year? Or landscaping 41% on pools. So again, we're running hot there, and if we do approve Eco Labs tonight, pools are definitely going to be over for what we budgeted. So things that as we progress into the end of the year, it's not something that we can continue to just say, yes, fix that, fix that, fix that, but be more strategic in what we can do this year and what we need to start planning for next year and future years of when things should be done.
Where is the investment income? How is that being factored in? Because I know we're earning a bit above from the, is it the truest? How is that going into operating, or where is
So
that?
will surely hit operating.
Okay, so that's not going to have much of an
So
impact.
it should help lessen a little bit, but I don't think it's going to cover everything.
Okay.
Who's in the budget?
Yeah,
We
the,
budgeted.
the
Yeah,
interest
it's
comes
in the
in
budget.
the budget.
So this is back, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The interest that we're earning, that's going into operating is doing better than expected. Not by much, but still it's doing better than expected. It is helping the operating budget out.
Katie?
Andrew addressed it. It was basically the reclassification of the CROA projects.
Oh, okay. Eric, anything? You? Celia? We need to approve the financials, or Don started doing it. Sorry, Don.
You can, just
All right, we have a motion to approve financials.
I'll move to approve financials as amended by Andrew.
Second.
All right. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, committee and partner updates. Can I ask, we have a really long agenda. Celia, can you
Can I what?
try to limit it to a minute? We got to fire.
1 minute?
1 minute. Does anyone have any relevant committee, anything they want to share? Let's just go over.
Just do 60 seconds for each.
60 seconds. All right, there we go.
We're on the agenda for tonight for ARC, just for covering, and we're continuing to open. As of tonight, there was 280 open items for ARC.
We have a joint workshop with special events next week, which will be exciting. We're going to talk through some synergies and how we can work together at certain things in programming. Communications committee is doing a great job. They were looking at brand guidelines last I checked. I took a little bit of a distance from them just to let them come together before we went storm. What else do we have? We met with Mattamy, great meeting. They're working toward phase 4. Or they're starting to 60% design-ish.
30% drawings for phase 4,
Okay.
60%-ish for 3, and 90%-ish for 2.
Okay. So, yeah, just want to make sure we build that relationship. Turning over was obviously something that we talked about too, making sure we have a good process in place before they were turned over to us. None of it was good.
We have a meeting with Peggy.
Peggy, yes, we're meeting with Peggy tomorrow, which is great. And that's it.
Covenant?
Cover code?
No, you could cover it. Okay, that's the shortest out of all my committees because they run very smoothly.
So I'll defer to you to do covenants.
Okay, so covenants.
All right, technology, enter yours.
Yeah, technology, so they're getting closer to the finish of the Gallagher project for the key cards. Artisan Park's the last one, so that's looking good. The remote video surveillance build has been complete, and they should be sending a request into ARC so that they can have that installed in one of the parks for testing. And then there's a meeting to be scheduled with Mayberry on what their additional video surveillance offerings will be, so give an update there. And next would just be for technology to work with communications and recreation on the rollout of the O&R application. And then for finance, I think went through it already in that review, but Jim, I don't know if there's anything quick that.
Okay. Can the tech committee get with the communications committee on the rollout of O&R and Gallagher?
We talked, yeah, we talked about that. Zoner has been.
That's going to be a huge change management.
Yeah, it's go here for O&R, go here for my celebration FL. It's, yeah, it's a whole, we have to map all that stuff.
Is it possible to have someone from technology at Parks and Rec and special event workshop that we're having along with finance so that we can discuss getting that app and the resident
I think
ID?
we really need to focus that one on staffing, because that's
Yeah?
gonna be a long discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And, ID.
Yeah,
They're looking at
ID policy.
Okay.
Technology did have a meeting with communication last month, but technology still needs to settle on its recreation. So,
It's good to see all these trip workshops.
can I talk now?
You can talk, yes, you have 60 seconds.
No, I have more than 60 seconds.
It's 2 minutes, go.
So covenants went really well. We're talking about approving smart webs tonight. The committee is awesome. They do a great job. Thank you. Special events. I just want to thank the staff for the 4th of July because they really did a lot of work. The parade was awesome. There was a little hiccup with the sheriff detail, but that was on the sheriff detail, not on our staff. They had about 2,000 wristbands for Lakeside for the firework. They have an upcoming comedy night, September 12th. That's going to be down in Artisan. We have dog park. The chairs have arrived at the dog park. Thank you, Lauren. Go Gators. Everybody's commenting on the colors, so that's good.
Because dogs can see blue and orange.
They have, we have on our agenda tonight the additional rocks that'll be added to the Lodge Dog Park. We had a meeting July 1st down there. Jill, sorry, he's not going to let you talk. You saw he's cutting me off. She was going to give a little update as the co-chair because I wasn't at the dog park meeting on the pesticides that they decided to use. And I don't want to get blasted on this, but I need to stress to any dog park residents, please do not apply pesticides, fertilizer, grass seed, or water on your own. We need to leave that up to Graham Manners and Brian. We're actively working to fix everything that needs to be fixed there. But we can't have residents with dogs that are worried about what they're seeing put down by residents that are really trying, because this is their passion, but we need to not do that. So got that done. Service area. two paint projects, Academy Road / Mulberry. They got a compliment, Cardinal Painting. Thank you, looks great. Far superior to previous paint project. They should be commended for their attention to detail. That's Cardinal Painting. Then we also got a compliment from the Green Lawn Townhome in regards to Regal Painting and Carpentry Company. We recommend Regal for future in celebration and specifically our service areas. My wife and I both assess their work as the best since our purchase in 2005 of our townhome. The quality of their preparation and painting and their responsiveness for requests for work on follow-up details has been superior. This is good quality. When you hire good quality companies, you get good quality work. The Master Plan Advisory Group, I was unable to make it last night. I heard Joe and the committee did an awesome job. I'm so proud of them because this is free. Whatever they're coming up with hasn't cost CROA a penny. They did an awesome job and they're working so hard, so I thank them.
Can we pause on that for a second, because I want to echo, I think there's something for the interview. I was unbelievably impressed.
Yeah.
I was floored by the analysis and care and detail that was put into that presentation. And I didn't even want to get to the big comments. It was
I'm
really
so happy for them that they gave this presentation and they worked so hard. And Joe, not that anybody else hasn't worked hard, but Joe has put in so much work.
Yeah, it was really impressive.
One also thing, can I just, because I'm talking and don't want to stop,
I was
I'm going to talk about the foundation, because Kathleen can't make it tonight, so I'll give her recap,
Yep.
not in her voice though.
Yep.
This is the foundation. They're currently accepting donations of school supplies at the foundation office, affectionately known as Stuff the Bus. They're getting ready for Bookmark Buddies program to be sponsored by the foundation at Island Village and Celebration K8. Stay tuned to how to sign up for that. All houses have been secured for the Holiday Home Tour 2024, the first weekend every December. Tickets go on sale for the 3-day event starting August 1st with the VIP reception called the Sparkle Soiree. Celebration Lifelong Fall registration is scheduled for August with classes beginning to be held at the Island Village Clubhouse. And that's as fast as I can talk. Sorry.
Celia, did you tell Jill she was irritated?
Yes, I did.
President, I run the board motion, Jill.
No, I-
You gotta give a minute, go ahead, get
Go
some.
ahead, Jill.
Come on.
It's just,
It's
it's
Robert Kurtz,
just,
gotta have someone from the board, not someone you can.
You're fine.
Come on.
I was going to hear it.
You're
Yeah,
good.
well, that's what I
You're
asked her.
good. You're good. Come on.
So I was just going to speak about the discussion. I'm having her speak as a co-chair for because I asked her to take the notes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we talked about this is Jill from the Dog Park Committee, 97 Spring Park. We talked about the pesticides that are being used in the dog park. There are currently none being used at our request. So Brian gave me a list of some of the things that they can use. I went through the list. I read so many safety data sheets, I can't even tell you, so much research on it. There was one that we were okay with using, so we gave him that at our meeting the other day. Forget what it's called, it's in my notes.
Manor or
Yeah, that. I have new glasses, I can't see out of them yet. I haven't learned how to read out progressives, different issue. Anyway, there were two more that we did not want used at all. Some that require like a 48-hour drying period. Others that if the dogs eat the grass, it actually will affect them internally. So we said no to those. And we were doing research on some possible vinegar-based, more natural kinds. So we gave an approval, a request to bring to y'all.
Manor selective herbicide.
That around the perimeter on the outside of the fence, but nothing on the inside until we get a better detail. That's all.
Thanks, Jill.
One comment for Brett. Good job. I feel like every year on the great launch of the show, the audio is terrible. So can we just make a priority to either have
The what?
music streamed
The
off
audio.
the Great Lawn,
What do you mean?
the fireworks show that has music to it.
Oh,
You
okay.
can barely hear it on the Great Lawn
I know.
every single year. If we need to spend money for a music setup or something, you know, speakers, something to figure out, if we have it in town.
It would be nice if we could get the audio from the stage at the Esplanade down to Lakeside, but it can't. Get your technology to work on that. That would be a good thing for technology to work
I
on.
approve of 500. The treasurer is making this.
I bet you Tom Holt.
I feel like this is,
I'm just saying, if you have fireworks show and you can't have music, you're losing the experience.
Yeah,
So,
Is
true.
that CCS?
Fourth of July, yes.
And the speakers
And
go to
those are
TCS.
kind of looked at it, so.
Oh, and I forgot one more thing on the service area.
Yes.
Rose got a compliment from a resident from Academy Row, service area. So I just wanted to shout out to her
Oh,
on that
perfect.
compliment.
Awesome, thank you. Don, anything for CDD?
No, I've been on the road.
Okay. All right, there's-
Sorry, I got nothing. Don't know what they're doing over there.
Yeah, they're budgeting into their CDD, so, okay. All right, there's nothing on the consent agenda, right?
There is none.
Okay.
Oh, I will say something for CDD, their budget meeting is being held here at Heritage Hall, so they have more space for it.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday service here.
Okay, excellent. All right, so now we're in the discussion.
We moved, this is now, we're talking about B, for parks review by explicit Albert Grill.
All right, do you want to bring up the grid?
Yes, I will. Hold
Does Brian want to come up and sit with us?
Yeah.
Is Albert here?
Albert couldn't make it.
All right, yes, Brian, you could sit with Howard and talk.
All right. How are things looking?
Not great. Oh, sorry.
That wasn't for you.
So, just so that everyone's aware, so Albert Riddle is a landscape architect in the community. Brian is with Exquisite Lawn Care.
Yes, sir.
Services, whatever. They do it for the lawn though, so. But both of them have taken over and inherited a lot of these parks from other vendors. And we wanted Albert to come along with Brian to kind of build the landscape architect eye, and they were doing this process.
We also had Brian Sankey's with us
okay,
as well. He was able to make it.
So do you want me to walk through this or do you want?
Yeah, you want to take us through it, then we.
So they used a 3-tier system just to very simplify it. Number 1 was more than 50 of the park needs replacement and need a full makeover. Number 2 is 10 to 49% needs replacement. Some will take very little to move to a 3, some will take a little bit more. And 3 is less than 10% of the park needs extra work. Some are good, most of them are gonna see ongoing issues like weed flare-ups, extra seasonal trimming and things like that. So in Island Village, Olmsted Muse was a 1, Gathering Green and Magnolia Square were a 3. The Beach Ridge Route, Muse, Island Village, Wedge, and the Amenity Center were 2.
Can we, sorry, can we pause there quick as we go through these? So Brian, on the views and that sort of thing, it looked like to me that when I went out there, a lot of it's dead. Is this one of those wrong plant, wrong place situations, or is it like a irrigation issue, or?
So for some of them, like Olmsted Muse, when Olmsted Muse was created, Olmsted Muse comes out towards Celebration Boulevard like a T.
Right.
When Osceola County built the school, they took it upon themselves to remove half of the T. And they took out the irrigation, they took out the trees, they took out all plant material. It sits right now as Bahia grass and just cover.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
That's the Mew that was that is in front of what used to be the Monoliths?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Okay, they were dead right from the beginning.
Yeah, they, Mattamy replaced that sod several times. We found when we replaced it from Zoysia to St. Augustine, that we were able to dig 3 feet down into the ground and come across construction sand. We hit no soil whatsoever. So we understand that the water hits the ground, it's gone.
It's very, very difficult to keep it alive. We put Olmsted as a 1 because we have to redo the irrigation, we have to redo that whole part of the T. It's covered with ornamental grass across the front, which just blocks the view of the park. It doesn't look inviting.
So it needs a full redesign entirely.
Yeah.
Correct. And the name of it, Olmsted, I think they misspelled it, but I'm pretty sure it's named after the landscape architect Olmsted, who designed Central Park, built Moore Estate, almost like he's the father of American landscape architecture. Right.
Yeah.
Didn't he do Buck Towers?
I'm not sure if he did that one or not, probably. To give you just a real quick thing, the 1, 2, and 3. 1 is like, man, I don't even want to look at this park. It's grotesque, it's hideous, it should not be on celebration property. 3 is like Deer Woods, Pennyroyal, we've redone them. There are maintenance issues there, weeds, trimming, stuff like that. There might be some sod replacement the size of this table, that type of thing. And then 2, like it says, some of them will take very, very little to become a 3. We've done a lot of work in some of these pocket parks that are 2s that you could look at Blue Sage and say, well, it's kind of a 3, type of thing. They're borderline.
So a question on the 1s from a financing perspective, funding perspective, that's an acceleration of reserves. How would that be? So if we wanted to tackle homestead views as a 1, that wasn't
even reserved.
No.
Because it didn't exist when you had your last reserve
Some of these
study.
other, so, all right.
But the other ones, yes, would be an acceleration of that funding in reserves, because a lot of the landscape improvements fall in are common site elements, and it's just one chunk for everything.
And that would include a whole, if we had to do a whole, I guess the question is that a combination of reserves plus capital, or is that just, I don't know.
If you're adding additional elements to it, like what we did with Penny Row, like that would have been more like a capital and reserve project. But if you're doing like what we did at Deer Woods, that would be.
So reserves are going to get crushed.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So in a few of these, we have on here that they're actually on action for tonight. So like Green Square is on here. That's a 1 that was rated on the list, which I wholeheartedly agree with. And then like Savannah Square is on this list.
Wait, you're talking about Green Square or
Green Square and Artisan.
Are you talking
Not
about?
Green Park.
Not Green Park.
Recreation.
Yeah, that's,
East.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. There was one of these that I thought that wasn't a 1. Could be wrong. But I think so in some of these, I mean, we see what, well, let me back up. I think we need to be careful when we look at some of these 1s because like, for example, the one in Island Village with the Olmsted there, that one's likely going to be pricier because there's things like irrigation involved. And so we're already into plumbing and trying to figure out some of that stuff. Other these, it's mainly labor and plant material is where we're getting there. So
your Green Square is sod replacement and a handful of plants.
sure.
Albert, when he saw Green Square, he has some other ideas and he would like to revisit that one.
Okay.
He thinks that he has. I'd let him come to you with that, but
Okay.
he has great ideas for that. But right now, we just need to replace the sod.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I think this is good. I think as a board, the piece that we need to do is decide what we do with this information. And I think that we need to figure out, there's a lot of things on here that we know need attention. So I would propose that we look at any of the items on here that are rated as a 1, needing full replacement, that we need to direct management to work with our existing partners, or if it's something that we have to go out for a bid on, to figure out what we have to do to get them corrected. Because I think that we're not going to be able to do all of them today. A lot of the stuff we're going to need to budget out. I also think that we would need to understand if some of these are like on the edge, and maybe this is where you can rack your brain a little bit on, if we were to approve like the mulch one tonight, would any of the
Ones
ones
disappear.
move into a 2, or would any of the 2s?
I don't think ones would move to a 2, but some 2s would probably move to a 3.
Got it, okay.
Our focus is getting 1s to 2s more so.
Katie has.
Yeah.
Hey, Katie.
Just a quick question on Olmsted. Brian, do you have like an estimate on what we're looking at for that park?
We worked up a couple estimates in the past, but they're pieces of a bigger picture that needs to be looked at. So if I just had to ballpark it, we're probably around the $50,000 number. If you wanted to give it the same treatment Pennyroyal got, the same treatment Deerwood's got, I don't think it would exceed.
And that includes like the irrigation as well?
Correct. The guts of the irrigation is there. And when I say that, the valves are there. The heads are gone, the drip line's gone, some of the piping is gone, but that's the cheaper pieces. You know, your clock is intact, your valves are there. We just need to put it back together.
Lauren, how many times has the Olmsted Muse been revamped
We did it.
since we took it over?
1.5-ish. We replaced the sod, there's one with St. Augustine, right? We did send a demand letter to Manape for that, and they supposed to be close to.
Okay.
I think the one thing that I'm hearing, and I think we have to be cautious of, and I hear you with Pennyroyal. Our direction, well, this is how I feel, we got to bring it just up to a maintenance standard, right? We have to prove that we can get good at maintaining Pennyroyal and some of these others. And there's just so much going on at once with funding and everything. We just got to get just green grass, in my opinion, get a baseline ready, get it back to standard.
And we need mulch.
And mulch, yeah.
No, you
No,
do.
I know. I'm not-
Because if you walk down
But
Long Meadow,
the basics,
I
the
think
basics of getting it
the
just.
only feedback that I would have to that is I think that there's some places that we currently have sod that we probably don't want sod.
I would agree with that.
And so I think it's in those cases where, like, if we've put sod down before, knowing that it's going to die in 2 months because it can't grow for whatever reason, I would rather not chase, just keep chasing it where we're going to be catch up with this problem.
So we're going to push the moving the sod.
Right.
My concern is just, we can't go to butterfly, we gotta just get, focus on the sod, the right mulch, the right. Correct.
So we're bringing to standards and we're not blowing through funds.
I mean, I don't know others, you're,
I'd ask that we get a report every month this way. This is a good starting point of what our baseline is.
We didn't-
And then we can start seeing our 3 staying 3s, or 3 dropping 2, or 1 moving 2, things of that nature, and have a specific checklist or measuring stick of what are these types, not just that as to subjective. And then I appreciate the work you guys did, so not against that.
Well, we didn't have a ton of time. I think Albert didn't know what he was stepping into. And he didn't understand the scope, the burden of what it was. So now that we actually got to drive every village and everything, I think that he now has an understanding of the task ahead. We'll probably expand that to a grading system of 1 through 5 or 1 through 10. We'll have more time to visit, to target individual parks. This was kind of like an orientation, so I agree. I think.
And then I think there were 7 ones. I would want Albert and yourself to put together a plan of what is needed for this.
Yeah.
And that'll be for us to update bids and look at what fits within getting those up. We're not going to do all of them, maybe we put a 12-month approach of that, we want all ones up to a code, or 6 months, whatever it may be. But we cannot do everything all at once, and I don't want to be doing every 10 years a new park kind of thing. I want to make sure it's staggered of every year, different outflows for bringing one of these parks up to a Deerwood quality. So how do we fit that into the overall budget and timing over the long term, not just, let's all fix it now, and then 2 years from now, everything's like that.
so to your point, Eric, about the sod, if it doesn't grow, Savannah, I cannot imagine anything anything grass grown in Savannah Square, there's always shade there.
Yeah.
So, like, can't we just, do we need an ARC approval to change it?
We don't, Warren, correct me, we don't have to have one, but we should.
I mean, just put mulch, really nice plants, and be done with it, so it doesn't look like, well, that lot's not gonna grow, why are we planting it there?
That's the current, that's on your agenda.
Yeah.
So I think what I would ask is that I think the ones that are on here in those sort of pieces where we know that they need help. I think we can look at it from a staggered approach where I don't think that we as a board, I am not prepared to bring them all up to the level of like a showstopper park, but we need to kind of understand maybe 2 grades. So we look at proposals for those and we can hopefully work with Albert on that, where it's like, okay, you need to change out 50% of this plant material anyway, so you might as well rework the whole park. Okay, that's fine, totally get that. But I think we just need to see kind of proposals for some of that stuff and not like as detailed with all the drawings and that sort of stuff, but maybe just a high level, this is what it is, we estimate that it's going to be around this, and this is what we would recommend moving forward with. Rather than, us try to piecemeal a lot of this stuff together, and then we can start to kind of spread this out. And then if there's opportunities for synergy between people, I mean, I don't know if it's like buying more plant material in bulk at one point in time and having, a crew do 2 parks in close proximity, that might be easier. I think we need to kind of look at that, but that might be something that I would charge management with to take a look at with the operations side.
So a couple of things on that. Typically, companies like us, we have to buy power. So it doesn't matter how many we buy at one time.
Okay.
It's based on our history of buying with them. So we move down levels or move up levels.
Okay, perfect.
So I can buy 1 plant at the same price I can buy 1,000.
Okay.
But the price I buy them at is good because I bought 100,000.
Sure.
Much like the master planning advisory group, that's it, right? All right, so they have a plan, an outline that you want to head down for the next 10 years. You can do the exact same thing with Albert and the parks. It gives you a drawing for Long Meadow. You say, okay, we love it. This is the Cadillac. This is what we want. But we don't want to spend this much right now. Let's pick certain aspects of that drawing, tackle them now. Don't forget about the drawing, because you're going to come back to it 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, and add more to that original drawing. So say you're tackling all of your ones at the same time, but you're not tackling them to the degree you want to attack, but you do have a plan in place, and you're moving forward on this plan and not straying from it, unless something plans created.
Yeah, awesome. No, I think that's a perfect idea, and I think that's where we would need guidance, just from yourself and Albert to kind of say, there's no benefit. I mean, obviously there's benefit to doing everything at once because it looks nicer. But I think it's one of those things where these 2 things don't necessarily have to be done at the same time. Like if you're going to do this, that's okay. We can split this up, and it's not going to be double the cost of doing it down the road.
Correct. And I think the only problem from my history of landscaping in here, and just not owner comments of the meeting, but owners' comments, is that if they saw a plan and we showed up and we put the trees in, but we didn't put the plants in.
Sure.
Managing those expectations from the homeowner before we arrive to do the work would be key to not having a backlash of, you did this, but you didn't do that.
Sure. And I think that's
where we can utilize Monday matters, as long as we have kind of like a time frame or expectation. Right. This is phase 1, this is phase 2, and it's expected to be phased out over 3, 6, 9 months. We can do that, and we can utilize that community maintenance page, just kind of put a project plan out there.
I would almost even want to take, and I think this is something we could charge the communications committee with to take a look at, because I think that we as a board know, and the people that are saying in this room and the ones that are watching online are not the people that need to be told what's going on. They're going to find the information, they know where to find it. Someone in the park that's standing there, that's looking at it, says, hey, we were supposed to have a row of colorful, perennials here, and we don't. What the heck happened? I think we need to look at doing something serious where there's a foam pour sign that stated there that said, this park's, here's your master plan for this park. It doesn't have to be big.
Don said that at our
And have a
organizational
little
meeting,
thing where it says,
under construction.
well, and like, this is the phase that we're going to do. And if you have comments on this project, email the board, that sort of thing.
And you keep bringing up Long Meadow, those bare areas where the jasmine was stripped, as long as they're covered with mulch, that's something.
It
plants are being
looks so good
Yeah,
because everything is already,
like you said,
Sculpture.
having something under construction, but covered with mulch,
Right.
right? Those are big things. People get tired of seeing the mulch, but if they know something's coming.
And I think too, it also helps us as a board be held accountable for, we have 25 signs in the community with timeframes. And we know that residents are, if we're asking them to be patient, we need to hold up our end of the deal. Where we come back and we say, if we say we're going to come back to this park in 7 months, we need to come back to this park in 7 months.
That's why I have
we need to do something.
Plan.
And I think too, if this maintenance committee passes tonight, I think that's going to be a helpful extension to have residents out there looking and reporting and working with us and holding us accountable too. I think it can only help.
so can I ask you a question as far as the mulching? Because I always bring up Long Meadow, because I'm there every day. So
It's a 1.
I know it's a 1, and so is Savannah. So, and the Greenbrier, I think. So the beds are defined already. If you put the mulch there and it rains, the mulch isn't going to go anywhere as if you put it around a tree ring, correct? If it pours, those trees on the easement, you put the mulch, it just washes away. But if you put the mulch at the dog park where the cement sidewalks are, and at Long Meadow and all the front-facing business, it's not going to wash away. It's going to stay there. It's going to wash away if we put it around the trees, correct?
But also, Celia, you're doing, the motion on the agenda tonight is mainly pine straw.
And pine straw, yeah, but I'm just saying because there's condensation, you put the mulch, it's going to wash away. It's not going to wash away because it's not on the sidewalk where the trees are.
You're correct. We deal with a lot of mulch washout.
Wait, what'd you say?
I say you're correct.
Thank you.
We deal with a lot of mulch in single-family homes and service areas where we get that washout because of the higher roofs coming down, pounding,
Right.
and then spreading that out. We don't have so many gutters at the parks that we have to worry about those washout areas. That being said, with the season we're going into, hurricane season, and they're expecting it to be active, I would say pine straw is the way to go right now. And in your estimate, when we do a bag of mulch, it's a 2 cubic foot bag. It's supposed to cover maybe this much area. 1 bale of pine straw can cover this entire table. The 1 bag of mulch runs around the same price as 1 bale of pine straw. So per unit, per money, you're going to get more coverage with pine straw at a cheaper, more economic, not more.
Yeah.
But is it going to look cheaper or is it going to look?
Depends on who you ask.
I think it'll do the job perfectly. What pine straw, so your mulches that are approved by covenants, pine straw is great. It blocks weeds better than any other. It stays in place and helps stop erosion, and it breaks down faster than any other mulch. Oh no, that's okay because it breaks down and it enriches the soil, which is good. Then you come with pine bark. It breaks down at a more regular pace. Same thing, enriches the soil, helps block weeds, helps encourage plant in the wintertime. And then your hardwood mulches, that the dark brown dyed one, does not go away. It breaks down very slowly. It sticks around. It can create mold and stuff like that. In this instant, I think going with pine straw to get everything covered, awesome idea. Awesome. You were correct. But it will break down and we can return to other mulch types if
So it
we.
doesn't commit us to something.
Correct.
And same thing like with some of these parks and that sort of thing, there may be pieces that we do that may, like for example, we may decide to mulch an area that eventually, who knows, we might put hardscape in or something like that down the road. That doesn't necessarily preclude us from doing that later down the line.
I guess it's, I understand the need to do something short term, but I guess how short term is the punch? You know, when are we going to be ultimately?
Some of that pine straw is gonna last you a year, you know, without needing to be replenished. Some of that pine straw is gonna last you 3 months. Environmental factors are big concerns on that. If it's in full sunlight and it's, I mean, we're talking 10, 12 hours of sunlight, it's going to break down faster than something in shade.
That won't happen at Long Meadows. I don't think there's
Just,
that much.
oh, sorry, Katie.
Okay, Katie.
Okay, quick question for Brian. Thanks. Okay, so because of the hurricane season, you were saying the pine straw would be our best option right now. The bid that we got, I believe it's a combination of mulch and pine straw. Did we get a bid if we were just to do pine straw now, Lauren?
We didn't get just a pine straw bid because the discussion at the workshop was to do pine straw in the back and a little bit of mulch up front, so it looked a little bit nicer to those people who are not partial to pine straw.
Okay, I'm kind of wondering if it would be a little bit cheaper, number one, and number two, either way, Brian, if we were to do, you know, mulch and pine straw or just the pine straw now in the summer, what do you think we would be needing to do in the fall?
Only a touch up as needed. So you wouldn't be looking, Lauren, you'd have to help me with this one. I believe in my maintenance contract for the parks is one piece, and then I charge additionally 2 times a year for the other part of mulch. So in the fall, we would disregard that total amount, and we would only do as needed. This would basically put us back on track. The fall would help us stay on track. Spring helps us stay on track, and Celebration is more mulch than it has been, I can't say ever, but in at least a decade.
Okay, and my only other thought is we were speaking a lot about just doing things in phases, just and letting residents know and communicating that. I think that it makes more sense for us to wait until the fall and just do it all then, and it, you know, not have to worry about hurricane season, not have to worry about pine straw here or mulch there. But we can kind of discuss that more. But thank you for all the feedback.
Along the lines of her question, is the only reason we're doing mulch now for this, or is there some other reason why we need to have mulch?
Well, Eric brought it up at the meeting, but we have weeds running rampant in tree rings. We have weeds running rampant in a lot of the beds, and this is because anytime sunlight can touch bare dirt, it's Florida, we're gonna have weeds. The pine straw is gonna help us suppress that, so we can pull back some of the labor. If this is approved tonight before this company comes in, my team is going through and we're gonna knock down and spray every single bed and tree ring before these guys come in. That'll give us the longest longevity of weed free. Then we can turn around and concentrate on details. So instead of just, guys, it's just weeds all week long, we can say, let's remove some of this brown out of here. Let's get this thing trimmed straight, stuff like that.
So how many parks is this being applied to? I'm just trying to think of the unit cost per park. We've got $94,000. How many parks is this going toward?
I know I don't believe the Spring Lake Muse is included in this, but the Spring Lake Pool and Spring Lake Playground are. The Muse wouldn't be because, not that we hate Spring Lake Muse people, but when their homes are, they're 5 foot off the sidewalk is some of the Muse, and then the 5 feet to their house is their property. So to mulch 5 feet off the sidewalk and not the rest of their property would be kind of silly. They kind of get done at the same time.
All the parks are listed in the
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Everglades gave.
I'm trying to break this down into a per park.
So you gotta, like, how do you break it down? Because one park is maybe 15 by 20.
But this is addressing every park.
Yeah. Well, it's on here. All the parks are on here.
63.
We've got 63 parks in scope for this $94,000.
So I want to just point of order.
Okay.
We're currently on discussion
Thank you.
of the parks review. So I think just closing this one out before we get into the mulch discussion, I think if we're aligned, I think we want to ask management to work with our vendor partners to create similarly a long-term plan with priority addressing the ones that have been ranked at number 1 on these, and assuming that we move forward with the landscape architect, it will be included in his scope to do that. If not, we would need to look at hiring a landscape architect to assist us with this.
I just have 3 asks here is the 1 through 5, I like that scale better than 1 through 3. So do that. I would like, if you know what the annual maintenance of these parks will be currently. If there's a way you can try to say, the green square is 15,000 a year because you're doing mulch and something else where another park is 25 grand, something like that.
Just perennial versus annual.
More projections for us as we build out our budget starting next month that we can identify.
We can get the pocket parks to you real quick, because those are small.
And you have to take nematodes into consideration, don't you?
We've done
I'm
a,
serious, I
we've
mean,
done a
that's
lot
an
of-
issue.
yeah, it is. We've done a lot of testing. Downey Park is the next one that has that issue. But we do think there's something's going on outside this building. So we're gonna be looking into that. And Aquila Reserve, something. They shouldn't be like that. And you go on this one, it's like a trampoline.
And then the last thing is just the ones, what it needs to get to it too, at least. So those are my 3 things for you, if you can produce those.
I think we're all saying the same thing.
Can we ask, just to put a timeline on this, would it be appropriate to have that back to us by the next board workshop? Meeting. Yeah. Okay, so we could have that back to us for review by the next board meeting, which is a month.
Yeah, it's just.
Okay, yeah,
And then also, when are we getting to the budget is at the workshop anyway.
Yeah.
So that'll.
right.
So-
I pretty much have the breakdown of what each part costs based on his contract already, so.
Maybe pass it off to them,
Yeah.
and you can kind of look at the parks to see if that makes sense, or if no, we'll wait on something.
Brian, is there anything else on the, sorry, is there anything else that we haven't asked you about the parks review specifically that you did that we should be aware of?
No, just like Andrew said, this should be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And communication between me, Brian Sankis, Albert Riddle, Lauren Aldonia. Pictures, we're taking lots of pictures. We take pictures periodically, and we take pictures before we start any of these projects, turn them into grand manners, so they have the befores and afters. Landscape is ever changing, so you can go out to a park one week and it looks fantastic, and you can go out the next week and it doesn't. Right now, the turf at Founders is looking fantastic, but some of the plant material and stuff out there is not looking fantastic. So it's an ever-changing thing, and trying to stay on top of it. I can tell you park-wise, the front of the dog park, Jill's still here, the front of the dog park was mulched between yesterday and today, except for 3 areas where we're putting some plants in before we mulch them. Our
The bushes
subcontractor.
look good,
Yeah, it's good.
they look really good.
Our subcontractor is pulling out Bermuda at the athletic complex. And Marco had a ton of people out there today. It was great to see all the people. And we just had 16 pallets of Citra Blue. Finally, we were able to get that, and it was delivered to Spring Lake. So that's for the garden homes and for the Spring Lake CROA parks.
That's in North Carolina, correct?
No, Bermuda had been coming from North Carolina.
Okay,
Citra
all right.
Blue, they grow locally, but somebody bought it all like 3 weeks ago. We do have a problem with 2 of the irrigation clocks in Spring Lake. They're both the 2-wire clocks. We have found that they are not grounded, so there will be an estimate coming for that. It leads to all the electronic problems that have been happening in there. One day we come to work and you can run through Spring Lake townhomes and full clock. The next day you come in and nothing comes on. And this has taken a long time to diagnose. I think that's it, unless you want to talk about any of the other ones.
We're gonna talk about
After discussion, yeah. Okay, Don, Katie, we're, anything else before we,
I'm good.
I'm good.
all
You
right.
guys covered everything.
Cross-examination over. All right.
Well, we're going right into the motion now, aren't we?
So,
So Brian, go far.
move back.
No, sure.
Well, oh, sorry.
So there's, no, we have 10. We have a pine straw mulch.
Yeah.
We moved up to 10. So the first thing we have is a motion to approve pine straw mulch project by everybody. Pine straw, the amount of $94,820.50 from CROA operating funds. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Discuss. You have a motion to approve? Celia?
Yes, please.
Okay, seconded by Eric. Discussion?
I just want to ask a couple of questions on this. If this gets approved, when we go to approve Savannah Square, and I think another one of these, there's mulch embedded in the contract with Exquisite. So does that come out of the contract if we approve this?
I'll pull it from the pine straw one.
Because one was 2,500 and one was like 900 and change. I know it's not a lot, but it's something. We don't
Yeah.
want to double bill.
That's a good question, though. Is that a service area item, or is that?
Which one?
Pro item.
Savannah
Savannah is a CROA, it's your CROA part.
It's our CROA part,
CROA.
correct? Yeah.
And then, that's it, okay.
And I spoke with this vendor about the timeline, because you had asked about a 10-day timeline. They can assure me that the pine straw will definitively be done within 10 days. Their only delay is they have to order the mulch, but they said at the most it would take them 7 days to get the mulch in and then put it in. So
Okay.
they think they will be able to finish it within 10 business days.
And
Yeah, I guess the question would be, for everyone's knowledge, it's coming from operating, so it's unbudgeted.
You do have an operating budget for mulch, it's $80,000.
Right, but that's for the fall.
It's just for,
Calendar.
it's just for general.
So what I'm saying here is if we approve it tonight, then the expectation is that whatever's in the fall is going to be extremely limited or not at all, so that we try to survive all the way up till the spring.
Brian said that he would, because we're not doing it in the fall, he'll do his fill-in in the fall.
Yeah, but I think.
But is that part of this contract?
Yes,
That we
that's-
already pay for it?
Yes.
or-
Yeah, so I think the point is that we're sitting here spending another $90,000 in the fall.
Right, so it's more like an accelerated expense versus a double expense.
Yeah, and I think, oh, sorry.
it's more getting our parks to some kind of celebration standard instead of going to covenants meetings all the time and finding residents because they don't have mulch in a 4-foot by 4-foot area. So we have to be a little proactive in showing the community and the residents, yeah, we know we don't have mulch and we're gonna fix it for you.
Katie has a minute.
Yeah, okay.
I do understand that it would be kind of like a fill-in in the fall, but given like an active hurricane season, I just want to caution that fill-in is probably going to be high and likely to be, it's not just going to be a little here and there. It's most likely going to be a lot. So I just want to say that. And second of all, from a homeowner's perspective, I know when I've gotten like a covenant letter, I think maybe it was once about pressure washing. And I had said, I wrote back to the association and I was like, I'm waiting a couple weeks to do this after the rainy season. And it was fine. Like everyone understood. I think we could have that same communication with the community saying, we understand that there is a need for mulch, but we're looking at seasonal. We're looking to do it in the fall.
We never tell a resident that it's hurricane season when the covenants committee is fining them for not doing it. We never tell a resident, well, it's hurricane season, you better wait. I've been going to the covenant meetings for 4 years now, and what's good, if the residents have to abide by our covenants, so do we. Now, not later.
If we extrapolate on 851, the operating costs, it's lower now, correct, to run the building because we're out of 851. Are we contemplating that in the rest of the year, what the savings are for the 351, not operating it at 100%? And is there any recovery there to soften them?
There's a lot of variables because you're losing partner programs and rent and all that kind of stuff too.
But they're already out.
I know, but you're not getting any more revenue for that.
But, and I think too, it's one of those things where it's gonna be eaten up by the cost of the lease. So I think, and I think Katie's right, you know, when there are residents that get flagged that come back and say, we have an issue, can we wait on this and that sort of thing. And I agree that we don't have great timing, in order to be able to do this now. My challenge is that the mulch didn't disappear like last month. There's some of these parks that have been bare for a while. That's why we terminated the agreement with the last landscaping provider. I also think that it's not lost on me that we're in a little bit of firefighting mode with a lot of these beds out there with weed control. As Brian mentioned, that it's bare dirt. So even if we have someone out there every single day trying to treat weeds, there's going to be a new weed there until we put something to cover that ground. I also just think too, as much as I think that we need to allow our residents we need to be flexible with them when they come to us, as we were like this evening with the appeals hearing. Bluntly, I'm not as flexible with us because we're supposed to be holding, in my opinion, ourselves to a higher standard. So you know, we need to get our act together on it. So.
Because the other thing would be, if we have a number of one considered parks, throwing mulch isn't gonna change anything there. So should those all be excluded from the scope of this?
What'd you say?
All the parks that are terrible, like Onsmith, you know, you throw mulch there, it's not gonna do anything. So there's no point in
That's a
doing it. Do we
little,
need to-
that's like a little
But I'm
area.
saying, do we need to look at, do we need to do the entire community, or is there a smaller subset here that we can save? And then the second would be, do we go full pine straw and no mulch? Right, you have what, 32,200 for 22 grand versus the 2,000 for 18,000. So mulch is quite more expensive.
We need to do something, Andrew. We can't keep sitting on our money and not do anything and expect the residents to abide by our covenants process. We need to get this done. And we're not poor. We need to show the community that we're being proactive in fixing. I don't know how many people complain online, and I hate bringing that up. You yourself say we need to bring our community back to celebration standards. Well, we have to start somewhere, and I think tonight's the night where we say, let's get this ball rolling and start by fixing the parks that are clearly embedded in red on our sheets.
I don't think anyone is disputing.
So we have $80,000, I think you
The problem is
said.
there's a systemic failure with maintenance, and this is 94,000 as I'm hearing this. It's but it adds up, and I think we want to make sure that we're just doing
Right,
this
and like
intelligent
Eric
way.
said, we no longer have that landscaper within our midst that went around and killed all the beds. We need to move forward. We need to start from scratch. That landscaper is gone, and the landscaper, as a matter of fact, before him is gone. Don hasn't.
Done. Hey, Don.
Hi, it's kind of hard to hear some of it. The mics aren't the best, but we have $80,000 for this. Couldn't we do pine straw for 80,000 and not go over our budget? I think that solves the problem. It gets the mulch in. As a homeowner, I could pine straw my beds if I wanted to.
I think the challenge, so I agree with what you're saying, Don. I think that we probably could get away with it, and I think it's within our purview of it. I know that we will likely already get some comments from residents that we switched from hardwood mulch to a cheaper mulch, so you're cheaping out on the community. So my
We're
wording,
talking another $14,000.
my wording there is that, like we talked about at the workshop where we're doing the, business in front and party in the back, mold approach, where at eye level, as I look across everything, we have the same mulch that everyone's used to. And then in other areas we're trying to save, we can do it, but,
Well, let's make sure though,
Develop-
then, that, let's try to make sure, if we're gonna do it that way, make sure that this bark, bark floats, the pine straw doesn't. Make sure that, I know, I heard the comments earlier by Brian, but make sure that we don't put bark in any bed that has the potential to flood in a hurricane. Any potential to flood. I don't want to see our multi-$1,000 investment heading into the sewers for CDD to clean out of the lakes.
yeah, that's fair.
So,
I guess one final question. Brian, with mulch going down, is it truly just empty beds or is it going around existing flowers already? Like, is this more just there's bare dirt that needs to be covered, or it's that there are flowers and everything that is appropriate for those parks and we're just filling it in fully?
It's a mix. So we're filling it some fully, and then others it's bare dirt. Almost everything from Prince & Sons is bare dirt. So all of your active parks, you can walk right out.
Because I guess that would be my question as far as if we do this mulch, then there's no flowers. You're gonna come back and plant the flowers or whatever else, then we're gonna need to remulch after that because we're probably gonna lose it when you do it up.
How do you remulch? You just.
Potentially, but you're also talking, so if this was Long Meadow, which is probably one of the first ones we're gonna try to tackle, right? And we mulch it with pine straw, and the pine straw is still good and fresh. Remove the pine straw, plant the plants, try to put as much pine straw as you can back in there, and you're gonna have to add a little bit. But maybe you don't have to re-mulch the entire park, type of thing. And then, like in the case of Savannah Square, we would be removing 90% of the grass that's in Savannah Square. So that wouldn't get mulched in this go around anyway. And Long Meadow, when we drove with Albert, we talked about where the playground area is to remove all the grass from that area. So that wouldn't be mulched in this go around. That would be mulched at a later date when plants were approved for that area and stuff like that.
all right, I'm gonna call the question, because I think we need to, so I'm getting the sense that we may have a split board on this, so, do we want to do just normal, or do we want to go around?
So
Individual,
you want to poll?
Yeah.
You want a hand poll?
yeah, so the motion on the table right now is to approve the
Yeah.
project in the amount of $94,820.30. Motion was made by Celia and seconded by Aaron. Celia. You're in favor, Eric?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I will be in favor contingent on we're not doing mulch in fall. So as of this motion, yes.
Katie?
No.
Don?
I'd rather see it all pine straw. So I'm gonna say no for now.
Okay, motion carries 4-2. Good. All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you, Mike.
thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so we are now on to action item E, motion to approve ARC committee member to fill vacancy. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Who are we getting?
We need to name this person.
Celia, yeah, Celia needs to run her motion.
Do we pick somebody?
You can discuss who to discuss it with one person.
Okay, so who's?
Is there any nominations?
Yeah, so, so I will say that we had a healthy number of applicants, so I'm glad that we went back out, for this. I think it was the right thing to do. We also did find that there were some people that had initially applied that just decided, hey, I've seen how much is involved here and I don't want to get involved in it.
Eric, are you looking for the name of the
I am.
board? It's Matthew Crawford.
Okay, so I would like to nominate Matthew Crawford.
I'll second.
So will you amend your motion?
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
Move to appoint Matthew Crawford, and you will second that? Yes. Okay, so we have a motion to appoint Matthew Crawford as the 5th ARC member to fill vacancy. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Aye.
All right. Okay, Matthew Crawford, you'll welcome him and do your.
I'll send my normal email.
Salutations.
Fabulous. Okay, next up, motion to remove recreation committee member.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
In a name.
I would like Thiago removed from the recreation committee. He has missed 3 meetings, which is consistent with the resolution. 3 meetings and he is granted for removal. So I believe that would start the 30-day process of notifying. And universal resolution.
So it starts the 30-day process, so can we
Concurrently name
concurrently name someone?
Yes.
yes.
And
Okay.
they'll be effective after the 30-day.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay.
But in the interim, they can attend meetings, they just can't vote.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so Celia, will you amend your motion?
Yeah.
To remove Thiago and Andrew?
Second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to remove Thiago from the recreation committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Okay. You're in favor, right? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, now we have a motion to appoint new recreation committee member to fill vacancy. Do you have a motion?
Motion to appoint.
Andrew? Second? You have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Eric. Being on the rec committee, I would like to see Lindsay Taylor back. I think she's actually next, in terms of her votes, and she was an active member, a great member. I know there were questions about X Factor, but she's recused herself every single time there's been a conversation about them. Brings a lot of knowledge, passion, just someone who I would recommend, but open to anyone
I will
else.
amend my motion to appoint Lindsay Taylor to the recreation committee.
So we have a motion to appoint Lindsay Taylor to recreation committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Katie is against.
I really wanted to make a motion to appoint somebody else.
You should,
I know.
we just had discussion.
All right, forget it.
That's 5-1. All right, motion to adopt resolution permitting streamlined approvals for specific ARC applications by town hall staff.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
So this was the same action item that was on our agenda previously, but we asked to hold on it for a little bit. This is the one where we talked about specific items, and the current one that's in the resolution that we've seen that's written from legal is specific to the video doorbell design guidelines, which is our next action item, which would be the only one that they would be allowed to streamline and improve. The goal is to eventually obviously add more to this, which both ARC and the Covenants Committee are working through together jointly.
Looks good, looks good.
Okay.
So are we
This is just.
gonna do D and E together? Can we do D and E together or no?
No, this is a resolution, as I understand it, to give them.
We have to do the resolution first before you can do the design.
Yeah.
Okay.
One's resolution, one's guide.
Okay, got it.
Katie, Don, any further discussion?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion from Eric.
I'm good.
Permitting streamlined approvals for specific park applications by town hall staff, second by Andrew, all in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Motion to adopt updated video doorbell design guidelines recommended by the ARC and Covenants committees. Who wants to make this one?
I'll make the motion, but we need to change it. So it's motion to adopt the new video doorbell design guideline, because there currently is not one, as recommended by the Architectural Review Committee and the Covenants Committee.
I'll second.
So this one will handle the by and large majority of anyone that's requesting a video doorbell in the community. So tremendously help ARC. This will also kick off the 45-day notice period for this. And the way that I understand the way this works, Lauren, is we motion to approve this now. wait the 45-day notice period, and then it becomes active, correct? So we'll notice the design guideline out to the community at that point.
So just a clerical piece to this, after the 45-day window runs, applications that were previously uploaded, do you want this to be retroactive? So then we're pulling those from the committee and we're starting to approve them? Or do you want it to just go forward from anything applied for afterwards?
Legal.
So since it's if it's a denial, then it's gonna be a negative, but if it would be an approval, then it benefits the homeowner, so it's not a.
Management's recommendation.
What's the calendar? So 45 days from now puts us at, I'm trying to figure out if we can put a motion on if there's an ARC meeting prior to when this would become active, that we could have ARC try to clear out
We could do that.
anything prior to this going active. I think would be
That's the cleanest way to do it, yes. Do you want me to set like a secondary ARC meeting like right before the 45-day window and we'll go through any pending ones?
I think that would be perfect.
Okay.
So we have a motion to adopt the new video design guidelines, also concurrently packaged, and there'll be an additional with this, but with an ARC meeting to clean out the pipeline.
Yep.
45 days. Close to
Close to it so we can get as clean as possible.
done. Andrew, you good with that?
Yeah, one second.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Very good. Motion to adopt maintenance committee resolution and solicit candidate interest. For a motion,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
discussion.
Do we know how many people we want on this committee? Because we discussed it at our workshop, that 3 was going to be it. There was conversation, well, there's no quorum, but really, what do you need a quorum for? Because they're not voting on anything. And we said maybe 5 would be the extension. Right? I think
Yeah.
that's what was said.
I guess, is it truly going to be a committee or is it an advisory group or something?
It was,
of that nature that
it was in the
for-
transcript that it said, well, maybe it should be an advisory group.
Well, but that's a limited time frame, as I understand it. An
Well-
advisory group and your task force. A committee is a committee more of a permanent.
Well, not an advisory group, but their scope would be as an advisory, not voting on, oh, we're going to do Spring Park this week and,
My challenge with that is how will the group gain consensus? They're going to have to vote on what they want to.
well, it's not up to them,
Yeah.
it's just,
What are they gonna be voting on? 'Cause I
What are they
think
gonna
it's
be
more of an
voting on?
extension of an inspection of the parks, again, coming back to the board for us to determine, okay, we want Park A work done, Park B, no, it's okay.
Don has a comment.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't imagine that there won't occasionally be votes. This seems very weird if it's just a bunch of people who kind of say, well, let's do this. But what if the 3 people go, is that really a problem? What, I don't know that we got to have the ability to hold votes. Or otherwise we should just hire someone to go around and look at everything.
That's where I'm going. They're not going to be voting on vendors. They're not going to be voting on, it's more so just to make sure that they have consensus and they have direction so that you don't have a rogue member. I don't call rogue member, but someone who decides to go do this and then you have 4 other members who want to do this. It's just so everyone's
okay, so you can make 3 to 5.
If 3 was a quorum issue from what, 1 doesn't show up or 2.
It's quorum.
So I'm good with 5. I have 7. So I'm good with 5.
I guess just posing this out there, is this necessary if we have Albert and Brian working on various things and hopefully hiring a very competent community manager to oversee these things? That
You want to
it's not
table
a need to have homeowners be involved, just a thought.
Should we table it for a couple
I'm
of
open
months?
to table.
So, since we're in discussion, I just want to read what we have in the resolution itself under the maintenance committee goals and objectives. So the goals that we have right now are work with management on identifying frequent reported HOA amenity issues from residents via email, homeowner comments at board meetings, and community mobile applications, such as My Celebration Florida, and develop a recommendation for reducing their frequency and impact. Review existing preventative maintenance plans for HOA amenities and provide recommendations on improving or adding plans as needed. Perform group on-site inspection with management of amenity locations as directed by the board.
Oh,
So-
guys need water.
If we have Ryan scaling out all parks on like a monthly report, do we kind of already have that solved?
We can also look at all the functions within management and maintenance, and really the one, when you think about rec, special events, communications, technology, covenants, ARC maintenance really is one that we just don't necessarily have resident, and dog park is closest, I think we have to do it. We don't really have, and I would imagine there are plenty of people in the community that are seeing this, that do want to come here and help, really be a part of it.
Good girls, good girls.
So the other piece that we had talked about at the workshop that's not captured in this resolution, so whoever wrote this did a horrible job. We did talk about coordination of like volunteer events. So the maintenance committee would be responsible for if we're all gonna have a
Like what we did with
trash
Deer,
day or something.
what we did with Deerwoods.
What we did at Deerwoods, this would be the committee that would kind of help function that together. I don't see like a immediate, like pressing need that we have to do this today. So I would also be okay, I think I seconded it, when I made the motion, I would be okay with tabling this as well.
Me too.
I would
second
love
it.
to table it.
All right, I'll change my motion to table.
So we have a motion to table from Eric, Celia.
Yep.
Okay. The motion to table, adopting the maintenance committee resolution, and soliciting any interest, and further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. All right, how do we want to handle the motion to approve 4-month extension for 8 parks and recreation partner programs?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. So motion to approve 4-month extension for 8 park and recreation partner programs, Aqua Yoga, Celebration Dog Training, Celebration Flag Football, Celebration Phoenix Lacrosse, Family Fitness, Irish Dance, and X Factor Dance.
I'll second.
Can we have discussion on this?
Yes.
Okay, we're extending a contract, we're extending the, X Factor contract. She doesn't, do dance in our 851 building anymore. And I think, Nikki mentioned that she still does
her showcases in our, like some are here.
So this contract that we're extending is from 2020, 4 years ago.
So this was at the recommendation of the committee. The committee is working on rewriting the scope of work for all of the contract.
Okay.
So there's better accountability. They're more in line with what category they're in now because they redid all the categories. So they need till the end of the year, till they can get through that process because of the number of partner programs that we have. So then everybody will have a clean contract come January.
Okay.
Any further discussion? No. All right, motion to approve Andrew, Aqua Yoga, Celebration Dog Training, Celebration Flag Football, Celebration Phoenix Lacrosse, Family Fitness, Irish Dance, X Factor Dance, seconded by Eric. And this is a 4-month, not a 5-month, because it's, I see 5-month in the packet.
It's 4 months.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Next up, motion to approve Ecolab pool and spa management program for all pools by Ecolab in the amount of 13, oh wait, no, hang on.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve Ecolab pool and spa management program for all pools by Ecolab in the amount of $13,089 monthly out of CROA operating funds, as well as an amount of $10,000, not to exceed $10,000 for screening of the chemical tank as needed.
So this screening tank, so this is gonna be fenced in, like where nobody could get to it, correct?
Yes.
so the isometric drawings that we had for the tanks for the chemical is not small. It does look like when I looked at the drawings of them, and I went to a couple of the pools, I may have caught on a security camera showing a tape measure over the fence. But it looks like they all fit, right? I mean, from what it is. So I think that we can do it. I do think though that there needs to be, which is why I made the motion with, I know it's not a lot of money, but it's some money in there. There are going to be some areas where we're going to need to screen these things a little bit better, either with a better fence or we're going to need a hedge or something of that nature.
Don, were you going to say something? Katie?
No,
Yeah,
Katie had something, I think.
Oh yeah, thanks. I just had a question on this because when we were talking to our vendor about adding this, one of the reasons why he said, that our pools needed it was, like the feeder controls, I believe. And he said like a lot of the pools are a lot older than like say Island Village. And that's why all these other pools are having more issues than say Island Village. So on the bid, it included Island Village. Or the quote included Island Village. Do we need it on that pool since it is a newer system?
I would say if in an ideal world, you would have all pools on one system. The benefit of this one as well is the electronic notifications of any chemical issues. We don't have that with the Island Village pool currently. Additionally, in all the pools, you own the equipment, so if it breaks, you're paying for it. With this, they're installing their own chemical feeders and the equipment required for that. If it breaks or needs maintenance, they are paying for it under this monthly fee.
It's also, so there was an expectation that there was a reduction in, or not a reduction, but there's a bulk price that we're getting for the chemical that we would still need at Island Village as well. So I think it's a good point, Katie, that it's a brand new pool. Why are we adding something additional to it? But I think it's also we're getting the bulk chemical rate, for that. The other part of me also goes, I would hate for us to technically enhance every other pool in the community and not have Island Village enhanced. Because
then it comes back to my.
Brian is texting me reiterating that the maintenance-wise, it covers us better.
Okay.
And then awareness that there will be a second Island Village pool, so this will be higher in the future.
Yeah.
Not until 2025, right? That's when they're up to.
That's when they're talking about passing that over to us.
So, right.
The only other question that I had with this is, I know we did, and I'll say it, we got it confirmed at the workshop, but we'll say it now. These do rely on Wi-Fi. We confirmed we have Wi-Fi in all the locations, so we're good there. I think the other question that I have is, we get notifications, but who is we?
So CQ Aquatics will get it,
Okay.
and then Brian will get it, and anybody else that we want to. And
Okay.
Ecolabs will get it.
Got it, okay. I just want to make sure that CQ Aquatics is included in that,
Yes.
that mix, because in theory, if something goes out of whack, we would be calling them as a.
So
You know,
CQ and Ecolabs work hand in hand in a lot of the larger resorts that CQ maintains, and they have a very good working relationship with Ecolabs.
Okay, perfect.
Don, anything from you? Any other discussion?
No, I think this is a great idea. I am 100% in favor of this.
Last comment I would say is Art going to have any say in where these tanks are located?
They're located in where your existing chemical pens are.
Will these fit in those existing?
Yeah, they came out on site to make sure they fit.
Okay.
But the screen.
The screen,
Right.
yeah.
All right, so we have a motion to approve Ecolab pool and spa management program for all pools by Ecolab in the amount of $13,089 monthly, along with an amount not to exceed $10,000
Per screen.
per screen. That was by Eric. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, motion to approve additional Seminole chip at large dog park by exquisite lawn care in the amount of $1,912.50 per reserve. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I assume this is in coordination and recommended by the dog park company?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
this was also, we had that meeting on July 1st at the dog park
Okay,
with the committee because there was some issues with the pathway that was originally installed. Mr. Staton came with the pictures and showed us the pictures and all that. So this is what the dog park agreed on
got it.
and brought.
And is there a timeline for installation?
We'll try to have it done next week, as long as we can get the material delivered.
Perfect.
Thanks,
July,
Brian.
is there a reason why this needs to be approved? Since it's under $5
It's reserve funds.
grand?
I can't spend any reserve or capital funds without your approval.
Anything else? All right, motion by Celia, second by Eric, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hi.
Carries. All right, motion to approve landscaping improvements at Green Square by Exquisite Lawn Care in the amount of $15,178.50 for reserve. Is there a motion?
All motion?
I'll second.
Discussion.
What?
This is Green Square meaning
Artisan Park.
Okay.
This is a reserve expense, but I couldn't find when this was actually reserved for.
Because it's under active and passive parks, common site elements.
Got it. Okay.
All the landscaping is just bunched into
Bunched into
one
one.
chunk.
Thing, okay.
Which was the remaining dollar for the year?
You've already spent your,
It's gone.
What was the budget for? Or reserve for?
I think it was about, it's usually in the 80,000-ish.
$88,376.
Needs to be correctly budgeted for 2020.
When is the new reserve study coming out?
They were gonna start this month, but they got delayed, so it should be early next month.
Any other discussion? Manager, second.
Sorry, before you call the question, a timeline for installation?
So we'll go ahead and strip it next week, and if I get the sod delivered, we'll install next week as well. I will make sure that it will not take 3 weeks.
Okay.
Before we strip it.
I know we're putting a lot on your team potentially, so I just want to be careful of that.
So I have several different teams. Right?
Okay.
So this does not affect my maintenance teams one bit,
Okay,
and this all falls on my landscape teams.
okay, got it, thank you.
Thank you. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Motion to approve landscaping improvements at Savannah Square by Exquisite Lawn Care in the amount of $27,921 even for reserve funds. Is there a motion?
A motion.
Celia,
Second.
Andrew, discussion?
I just want to ask Brian, so are we putting sod in Savannah or aren't we?
There's going to be, so you're very familiar with it, there's a holly bench that surrounds Savannah Square. On the outside of that holly bench, there's about a 3-foot strip. We're going to keep that as St. Augustine, just in case the car happens to veer into that area. Everything inside that holly bench, all the way to the fountain, will be plant material, not sod.
Okay, thank you.
And Albert looked at this too, right?
Albert, I went over the plant palette with Albert and briefly went over the design with it. He loves it. He thinks it's a great look for Savannah Square. He looks at Long Meadow. We're going to try to carry from Savannah Square into Long Meadow with the same plant palette so that it all blends together. And then when we get up to the playground, we'll try to carry some of the stuff we have at Hippodrome down so it all kind of meshes well together in there. All of the plant material we use for these 3 parks will most likely carry over into Veranda Park in the same location and into Founders in the same location. We are looking at village by village, creating plant palettes and things like that. Disney theming, right? Artisan Park, why doesn't it look like paintbrush strokes? That type of thing. I like it.
So we're going to are we going to take the mulch out of this?
I emailed the vendor and pulled Green and Savannah from the bid.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion?
You pulled the mulch from these,
Yes,
because we're gonna,
because we're doing these revamps.
So these, do we need to change them?
So Brian's going to do
Brian's
it.
mulching. That was part of your discussion of the pine straw thing, that we didn't want to do the ones that we were approving the bids on for today.
Got it.
If I'm approving the higher amount, they can strip it out and do it for less.
Yes.
And that's
Okay, sorry.
If more, then they need to come back to us.
I'll shut up.
If it's less, it's okay.
Okay, all right, all in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Motion to approve Ginger relocation by Exquisite Lawn Care in the amount of $30,978 for reserve at service area reserve funds. Or motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
So I have a dumb question. Does Ginger cost more than $30,978? Like, are we saving money by moving it?
The size it is. So, let me come back.
Sorry.
This one's a little trickier because it involves the service areas and CROA parks. Basically, we're stealing the ginger from Artisan Parkview Townhomes. That is only in front of the buildings. We're stealing the ginger from the South Village Townhomes in front of the buildings. That ginger grows 6 to 8 feet tall naturally, and they've put it in front of the buildings, they put it in front of the windows. So over the past years, when you've seen it and it's looked really, really thin, there's a reason for that, or it's been cut off. Because to keep it within covenants, you cannot let this plant grow correctly. This is a prime example, wrong plant, wrong place. These are mature plants. We can take them from these areas. We can transplant them to parks like Spring Park Playgrounds, the Red Brick Wall by Town Hall. Some of these areas that are more out of reach, and give them the area that they can grow. In turn, CROA would buy the plants for the townhomes to replace in those areas, right? Fair deal. You can buy 3-gallon ginger and install them cheaper than you can these. You won't have the maturity that these are at. If you were going to deny any project that I put forth, this would be the one that I would say, is it a necessary expense for CROA when you're talking about your over budget and everything for the year? I would pull this one, right? But it's a great deal because you get these mature plants that'll provide great screening for the playground, areas like that. Whereas if you bought ginger this size, it's probably going to be double, not double the 30, because that includes the plant replacement.
Sure.
To give you an idea, I installed 3-gallon ginger, bought the plant, delivered, installed, $22, right?
Okay.
These are going to be more like 15-gallon size. And at that price, we would be right around $200 each.
Okay.
So,
Where are you planning on putting it?
Spring Park,
Right in front of the brick wall on Celebration Avenue that we.
Yeah,
How
What's
much?
that to do with park? You know?
You will, because remember when we had the playground discussion, we're gonna need to fill in some of the landscaping that was not there before. We're creating somewhat of a new landscaping bed because of the massaging that we had to do with the playground layout. So now we need to fill in landscape beds, otherwise we're just gonna.
and it's gonna be replaced with mature plants.
So,
And the townhomes down in Artisan, if you drive down there, if you look at those plants, the residents in those townhomes get frustrated because those plants, like Brian said,
It looks a little silly.
they look ridiculous. They're too big,
I
they're
agree
too
with you.
fat.
Double down, it's just more of,
Yeah.
is it worth the relocation or is it appropriate to relocate it? Those areas.
Yes, sir.
Should we be using those? I mean, it's a great call to do it, but is it appropriate for the location?
and it's also CROA, the service area is only to the mulch, which is $5,670. The rest is going to CROA. Why?
Because you're paying to, so you're basically taking their plants, and you're paying to put new plants in there because you're benefiting from the free plants from them.
So that's a CROA reserve?
Because the service area pays for their own landscape.
Hang on,
Right, so-
can you go, maybe you.
I was gonna say, why wouldn't, if the service area doesn't like those plants, then it's their responsibility to do something with them. But,
so assuming they did that, these plants would end up in the landfill.
So it was a creative way to get you mature plants and fix their problem at the same time. But like Brian said, if you're gonna deny them,
but I think, I guess it's, if
So in the-
they're gonna move forward and replace these and fill them out, then why are we paying to put all the things in the pool?
Well, because when the playground is done September 17th, that landscaping around there is gonna need some mature plants, and this is where the mature plants are coming from.
We answer this, Brian. We're gonna need to do landscaping out here. This proposal, is it cheaper than if we did just a start from fresh in these
No,
areas?
we can, so if we just put 15 3-gallon ginger along the red brick wall and gave them 1.5, 2 years to grow and fill in, they're gonna do the same thing that these plants would do. It's a dead area, right? Nobody looks at this except to say that it looks bad. In the Spring Park playground, could we take $27,921 and design a landscape that looks fantastic? Sure. So this is not necessary, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at is.
It's just a
I
way-
get that the thought is good, but this kind of goes down the line to the same thought of, I don't know where we had extra tile, but let's throw it in the lakeside path. And how we have missed it. So-
Don has a comment.
Hey, Don.
I have two questions. And I may have missed this again in the translation. How many ginger plants are you removing?
I don't have a number.
517
Is there a number? I mean,
on the quantity. No, I'm sorry, relocation. No, sorry, I'm looking at the view.
Because how much, you said the 15 gallons are 200 each, right?
yeah, it'd be around that. I'd have to get an accurate price.
But I mean, I'm just kind of trying to get a ballpark. Okay, let me ask you my other question. If we just went into these townhouses and pulled those out, threw them away in a landfill, and replaced the landscaping with something appropriate, how much would that cost?
Would cost CROA nothing because it would be a service area problem.
Okay, oh, so it would be nothing to CROA. Okay. I guess I'm trying to determine if we just went out and bought them from scratch, is it the same amount of money? If it's the same amount of money or less, then we should pull them out. If it's more, then we shouldn't.
Yes.
The other comment I would make is, I don't want to settle with our Spring Park playground of, we're just using ginger because we got this preference. That if there's a design that should be there that makes that park special, I would rather use our money to do that versus just be this convenience of taking these plants.
Are we,
Table.
and today, right now, we're not planning to, even though they look silly, we're not planning on replacing those service area plants right now, are we?
We would love to. I've been working with Rose for the past year or two and trying to get the service areas, the committees on board. I think the problem is budgetary restrictions.
Yeah,
They just do not have the money to do it in one go.
okay.
Can we table this and have Brian and Albert get together on what it would look like for Spring Park? And if we're comfortable with what the.
We're- I'm already working on a proposal for Spring Park, so that shouldn't be too much longer before Lauren has it.
When we see that, if it's worth it.
You made the motion.
I'll change my motion to table.
I'll say.
Okay, so we have a motion to table. We'll revisit at the workshop, maybe?
I'll try to have it next workshop.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we have a motion to table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I know we're not doing great on.
It's okay.
We're doing good. All right, so we got.
Great, Charles.
Thoughtful discussion. All right, we got through the plan charts and now we're on motion to approve Albert Riddle Design Inc. as the associated consulting landscape architect.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
So we did go out and get additional,
Yeah.
not bids, but
Proposals.
proposals for landscape architect. We kind of came back and settled again, for Albert. Okay, yes, ma'am.
You want to finish?
That was my
Oh,
finish.
Katie?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just had a question. So, like, I noticed today on all of these landscaping motions, the reserve items that we approved, Albert Riddle was consulted on those. Is that like the basis of what he's going to be doing in conjunction with obviously adding assistance to landscape approvals via ARC? And approximately like, what are we looking at? How many hours per week or month are we estimating for this?
So when it was budgeted previously, it was this and the consulting architect for ARC were budgeted at $30,000 a year each. With the passage of approximately a year and a half since we had an agreement with them, both of their hourly rates have gone up, so you could assume a little bit more than that. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, I guess to Katie's point, I'm comfortable with having a landscape architect. I think we just need to understand the scope of what they're doing. And who's responsible.
Yeah, because I think.
Back to the board for additional.
Well, yeah, and that would be at the direction of the board. What do you want him to be doing?
So I think for tonight, it's okay to approve it, but I think going forward, we need to say what structure, what limitations of budget do they.
Because I saw, I think right now with Jeffrey, we're around 4,000 a month. So I didn't know if that's kind of like what we're expecting with a landscape architect as well. And that would put us like, I think you said 30 before, I think that would put us around 48,000 a year. So I was just kind of wondering, is that where we're kind of budgeting this going forward?
Well, for landscape applications in ARC, there's far fewer landscape applications than all the other structural ones that Jeffrey assists with. So you could probably assume that his contribution to ARC would be fewer hours than Jeffrey's.
Yeah, has he been charged? So all the work he's been doing with Brian, he hasn't charged us with that.
So I think that.
I'm sorry, I missed, I couldn't hear that. What was that last part that Charles asked and the answer?
So I was asking if the work he's been doing with Brian at Exquisite, if that's been billed to CROA, and it hasn't been, correct? Okay, so we haven't been billed to this point for anything else.
And we'll go.
We don't have a contract either.
Going forward, is that will be billed though?
If the board is giving us that direction that Albert needs to be consulting on these landscape
But you still have to come
projects.
back to us with the actual contract. So we can approve them here
Yeah.
tonight, but it's still dependent on the approval of the contract.
Okay. I would think it might make more sense just to have him with ARC, landscaping ARC. And because Brian has a lot of expertise in what he's doing, and I feel like he doesn't necessarily need consultant on these revamps, but that's just my opinion.
I think it's a discussion to have, right? That if Albert comes to a workshop, we can discuss with him what he brings to the table and what he would be involved in beyond just our.
I think this is more about just getting him under contract, right? Lauren, just getting him under contract and then defining scope.
Yeah, you just need to, I mean, he's here at your disposal at the hourly rate to provide consulting services, provide drawings, what have you. You just need to provide the guardrails.
So let's go. Don, do you have anything? No. All right. So we have a motion from Celia, second from Andrew, to approve Albert Riddle Design as the association's consulting landscape architect. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, Town Hall 851 evaluation vendor selection. Okay. Does anyone want to make the motion while Eric? Yeah, what are we motioning?
So this is the collect item.
Yeah, so I'll motion to take our CROA training recommendation of updating the indemnification range.
Second from anyone?
I'll second.
Or Lauren, do you want to give a little bit of background on this?
So as when you issued the RFP that was written by the master plan group, it had attached to it our standard contract verbiage that's utilized, and that's our normal practice of RFPs. So bidders know what the expectation is when they're awarded the final contract. When the contract was sent to them for signature, they requested indemnification language be put in there because they had a bad experience with another project that they had with an HOA, where they ended up getting dragged into a multiple party suit that they had no fault in. So they're just a little bit nervous about dealing with HOAs moving forward because it's not their normal clientele. They went back and forth with Charlie. Charlie suggested some updated indemnification language that says we will identify them for anything that they're not directly responsible for.
He feels comfortable with. Right now we have a motion to update the indemnification language based on Charlie's recommendation. The motion will be by Celia, seconded by Andrew. Andrew, seconded by Celia. So this would be with the CALIC, not, okay. So Studio 407 continues to just be, or just not.
I mean,
If they come back and say that they don't.
No to this proposed counter language, then 407 is your offering.
Got it, okay.
And they are still interested.
Yeah.
I reached out.
Okay. Don, Katie, anything from you?
I'm good.
I just want to, I was kind of cutting out a little bit. So, can you just kind of repeat that one more time? We're going to go back to CALIC with Charlie's recommendation on updating the language. Is that correct? And then if they decline, then we'll go out to 407 with the phase 1 that we were discussing with CALIC.
That's correct. CALIC wants a full indemnification. Council is recommending to do a limited indemnification. If they choose not to do a limited one, we can only go to 407.
Okay, and Lauren, you said you reached out to 407 and they are still interested?
Yes. I didn't discuss the whole just phase 1 approach, but I just wanted to check the temperature and make sure they hadn't put this up.
Okay.
So if they take the indemnification language, then we've already approved.
Then we'll get the contract signed and
Then we're good to go.
authorized.
Okay, so nothing further for the board unless they come back and say, nope, then we have to come back to.
We're just, it would be a modification to the contract that we were doing in the previous meeting, so we needed to bring it back.
The one thing I would say with this, the sooner the better. Like if.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just if there needs to be a.
Charlie tomorrow.
Okay.
Ask them to send this to them, and as soon as we hear an answer from them.
Okay. Just so we don't wait till a workshop for a meeting for the quote.
Oh, can we amend the motion so that in the event that CALIC comes back and says no, because I'm leaning that they will,
We move forward with the
we
other
just
company.
automatically move ahead with Studio 407
With your standard contract.
with the standard contract, right?
Updated language for CALIC to accept, and we have they reject those terms, the approval of Studio 407.
With
Do
the,
you know how much it was?
But their bid would be modified down to
The scope.
Of the
Modified, so
modified.
everybody's not or less.
So can we?
yeah,
I think it would be cleaner if we brought it back to a
Okay,
board meeting.
that's fine.
We can call it off the normal track just to get this moving and keep it moving, but
yeah,
I like where you're going with this.
yeah,
Right, no, I like where you're going.
okay, no, that's fine.
And then we're sitting.
All right, so we're back with the original motion from Andrew, updating the indemnification, offering it to them, seeing what comes back. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we're there. Motion to approve additional Mayberry security detail for the duration of the Spring Park Playground project, $1,001.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Just so that everyone knows what's going on, as it was brought forward to me, we made some motions prior meeting that we didn't discuss fully. We had challenges with vandalism and trespassing, with the construction project out here, that we were likely going to incur some fees because of, if we didn't do something. So that's why we need to have some level of additional security out here to protect the pretty significant investments we have going on.
This is going to be, how many more weeks left until we?
their drop dead date is September 17th, I believe.
And the way they're going, maybe sooner.
They're a little, they are,
plastic table. Oh, that's
I
pretty
can
cool.
find some of this. This I think is where I did someone else.
Anything goes. Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Motion to approve 12-month smart web software service and license agreement in the amount of $913.20, one-time setup fee, monthly 40 cents per door cost, $1.15 per letter sent for an average of monthly cost of $2,230, $30.05 for operating costs. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion to approve.
Sorry, I make the motion to approve. Point of order.
So discussion. All right, so I know this had been looked at with covenants. There wasn't a formal recommendation per se, but this was software that we have in the past. Checks all the boxes in terms of what we need. We know from a manual process perspective, a lot of time is being spent by staff to generate letters, mail merges, stuff envelopes, all of that.
So not including the manager's time, it's over $17,000 a year in lost opportunity costs.
That's staff.
Staff time, the labor burden rate, all that.
Were we able to confirm with Smart Webs, or can we confirm with them if they still have any of our existing data?
So
That's okay.
It went away with the previous management company.
wait, what was the
We've
question?
confirmed it with Smart Webs. They don't have it. They merged our system when the previous management
You're
company
lucky you
left.
got
I'm
anything.
gonna ask you a question that you're probably not gonna be able to answer, it's already reported, but is it because the contract existed with the previous management company?
That is
and not
correct.
with- Okay, all right.
So just to go further, we asked that question.
Yeah.
Can they be contracted directly between CROA and Smart Webs? And Smart Webs said, no, if they have a management company, we will deal with the management company. Only if you were self-managed, it would go directly to you guys.
Okay.
What does that do to the implementation time then, the lead time? Because there's gonna have to be some getting that in and validating and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take time for implementation.
And who's doing that? I guess who would be kind of the lead and managers who take that on?
So it would be corporate assistants, somebody from Covenants, somebody from ARC, and then at least 2 people from the local management team, putting that information in and validating it.
I'm saying it's just with.
Mhm.
And it's management's recommendation to use Smart Web over the in-house CRM that you guys have.
You're gonna make Warren stay now with Stacy sitting right
So
here?
the way CROA does their,
It's not a wallflower.
so the way CROA does the way you have it set up and the way you want letters to go out, Smart Webs will be able to check 95 to 99% of your boxes. CRNet does work for your covenants, it just does not work the way you want it to work.
So, but also, is this just for covenants though, if I'm understanding correctly? We
ARC.
also use this for ARC as well. And I think the piece that we're having, the challenge of CRNet right now is we have a lot of things that get resubmission. And it's not exactly clean when we do it in CRNet. Essentially, it's become a new application that, whereas with the Smart Webs platform, you're kind of able to reopen it, essentially the same thing. And it's mainly just because of the amount of detail that we require on a lot of our ARC applications.
Yeah, which I guess, in short, Smart Web is a better product, and at this time, it doesn't seem that Brand Matters is doing any new enhancements for CRNet. So either the usability of the application or how we send letters, which is our preference.
Thoughts on?
Right, yeah, and really at this time, in terms of creating customizations or additional configurations, right, for specifically that module, there's no current timeline for the roadmap on that. Again, when we look at why we do things and the order we do things, right, it's let's call it the 80-20 rule, right? If 80% of our clients are saying we need it, right, clearly it makes the roadmap, right, much earlier, right? Where if there's a singular need, right, that's going to obviously fall in the less of the priorities for this IT roadmap. That's just how, you know, I wish I had the answer you're looking for, because clearly I want to give that to you. I'm just sharing with you how the business, yeah.
I want to propose this, as I'm in order, is Grand Manners, if we approve this tonight, that you would be willing to split it 50/50? CROA and Grand Manners for the cost of smart hubs.
Here's the challenge in me answering this question, right? Because, and I said it last time we were together, right? Is Celebration is the one community in our entire 3,000 community portfolio that is requiring this type of customization, right? So I'm not saying to you, you must conform to CROA. What I'm saying to you is, it's because of how Celebration wants to conduct, right, this particular process. So for it to become a Grand Manners expense, it's hard for us to jump in on that from a business perspective, right? Because this is how, right, I can easily try to force it the other way and say, well, just conform to the way the system works and everything's gonna be fine. Obviously, that's not the conversation.
If that was true.
Right.
Because everything's not fine, just from the example that he said, that there's an open and close that didn't want anything else, so.
Right.
If you had a product and it was in this one piece that wasn't working, I could agree with that.
Yeah, yeah,
But again, a business decision and a partnership with us here in Celebration,
yeah,
I'm offering that tonight as a possible,
Yeah,
option,
yeah.
which sounds like you're not willing to accept.
I can't do
Well,
that right
that's-
now.
That's like a little, I'm just gonna interrupt, because that's what I do best. But that's, I think, maybe part of our contract negotiations and not putting her on the spot right here, because if anybody's gonna put her on the spot, I could, really, but I don't wanna.
I am providing the opportunity for Grand Manners to participate, and if they choose not to, it's perfectly in their rights to do so.
My
I'm
challenge
pretty
with this,
sure.
this is all important conversation, the problem I have is, how much were we saying, $17,000?
Over 17,000
Okay, and how long have we been doing this?
since December 2022.
Okay, so we've got a long time with this, so my problem is, why haven't we done this sooner? That's number one, and I realize we can litigate SteeringNet all we want, but it's $17,000. Doing other things, fixing the playgrounds, walking the playgrounds, doing other things.
Just think of customer service on the covenants and art perspective.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is another battle for another day with the who's paying for what.
Didn't I just say
It
that?
didn't-
Didn't I just say that?
Did I? Well,
In different
I'm
words?
listening to you.
I see where you agree.
Okay.
It's not a battle to
No,
me.
this is old school.
Yes, Don, you can use the hand thing.
Wait, I don't know where the button is. I can't find it. I hate Teams. I do. We're saving money and we're providing a better service. To Charles's point, that's two things we should be doing. The money is not. We're not talking a ton of money, and we're talking about something that is critical. That's the core of what CROA does daily with residents, covenants, and ARC. And it's
I just spend more mulch.
broken now. And spend by more mulch.
So I'm going to call the question at this point. So Eric made the motion to approve, seconded by Andrew. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we all agree?
Did you?
No, yeah, I'm saying, I didn't
We-
hear
yes.
everybody.
It has unanimous.
Okay, no.
The unanimous text.
I think the one thing, sorry, I know this is a point of order, implementation timeline, critical.
We'll get on it tomorrow.
So roll it to the community applications, detaching from CROA, the whole, whatever that all
We'll have
looks
to,
like,
yeah.
full project plans. And
August 1st.
all right.
Deadline day.
Yes, thank you. All right, motion to recommend CJC approve the contract amendment to extend the management agreement until December 31st, 2024.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Question?
This was as discussed at the workshop, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then what we approve for us, it's just CJC, we want them to do the same.
And just for all transparency purposes, we're still waiting for TCC to end their Class B membership. So as soon as that's done, I will call a CANOA meeting and a CJC meeting to get this finalized.
Why can't we do it now?
Because TCC would have to appoint Andrew and appoint CANOA members to the CJC board.
They're still-
And they're not doing that.
I know that sounds silly though, but we need to have a meeting. So did that force their hand?
Oh, trust me, Tom and Charlie have both been harassing them.
Okay, all right.
Because I have CJC business to discuss for the water tower, and I have CROA business that needs to be conducted as well.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Motion to approve license agreement with Lexington Capital for use of 6 office suites and 2 open suites on the second floor of Bank of America building for a term of 6 months with an option to renew in the amount of $63,600 plus a $5,000 security deposit from CROA operating funds.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion. I know we talked about this ad nauseum last board meeting. Workshop.
Board meeting, you're right.
Okay, and we went through so we looked at the costs of the current 6, the current space, taking additional offices there, Bank of America. We looked at kind
The
of
place above,
yeah.
the place above Ari Sushi.
Yep.
But that's a two-year lease term. The Bank of America building is a 6-month with a one-year renewal, but they will increase the cost. The Ari Sushi is a 2-year at a flat rate. The space above 690 only accommodates the community standards team in the front counter. So only, I mean, the main front-facing people, and not bringing the rest of us on site.
Sorry.
I was gonna just add, so our approach was that we would be doing 6-month renewals, but this is a 1 year after the first 6 months. And it will be a step up. So that is a little bit of a concern. And I guess right now, not that there's an immediate risk, but there's no front desk capability for the Bank of America buildings on the first floor accessible. With Ari Sushi, or above Ari, that's a 2-year term for $54,000, which comes out to the 108, a little bit more expensive than the 1.5 years that you would have Bank of America. And they have the capability of doing a front desk if, for some reason, something happens where we're no longer to utilize 690. So that's something to consider that I know, I guess we need to talk, are we expecting brand manager to be in there 6 to 12 months, or are we better off covering ourselves with the full 2 years, knowing what the master plan advisory group is putting forward and what may happen to town hall?
I think, so the master plan advisory group last night, if I recall correctly, the town hall building, I mean, that on the agenda was, we were not even really moving on it until late 2025. And I mean, I think that's very logical. I don't think that we're really going to figure out what's going on with that building until then. So I think, 6 months is, we're going to be there longer than 6 months. I think we know that. And I think we just need to consider that. Katie?
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I was kind of thinking the same thing. What is a step up renewal after the 6 months for Bank of America? Do we know? What?
I'm pulling it up.
Oh, okay. And then I was wondering, I don't know if there's any room. I remember this conversation, and Andrew made a good point, and like I had been reflecting on it when we discussed this in the workshop. If we were to even go with Bank of America still, if that's kind of the route we want to go, to maybe look at a 1-year lease and see what that would look like, even with them, and what the renewal would look like, just like 12-month lease. If we could get a better rate than the 6 month, and then what the renewal would be after that.
This conversation in our workshop?
I think the 12-month piece, if I remember correctly, it was a question on whether or not they would give us any additional
So
break.
they won't give us any more additional break. But she did say that if you do a 1-year lease now and then 6-month extensions at the regular executive suite rate. So your
So-
step up would be, I think,
Less.
yeah, would be less.
So I would be more comfortable with us just saying that we need to move forward with a 12-month agreement. We're getting ourselves, otherwise we're gonna be talking about this in 4 months anyway, that we're gonna need to review this.
At an increased amount.
Yeah,
Plus the
there's logistical moving people
Right.
around and the.
communicating it and the whole new response.
But I will admit, I am worried about outliving our welcome with the foundation.
It's a significant possibility.
So there's a part of me that goes, if we are looking at an agreement, and I had forgotten that Ari has the capability for some sort of a front desk. To me, that would seem like a better option, because we need to have something where we can't tell residents that you need to go to the second floor of the Bank of America building. That's just not a great experience.
Well, they would have to go to the second floor of Ari too.
Yeah, there's no first floor at Ari.
It's the
The
space
second floor
above
of
Ari's.
Ari, it's above Ari.
Not the LRK, that was where.
Oh.
LRK was on the other side. This was a.
Flooded.
So, yeah, okay, I see what you're
It
saying.
caused Ari's flood when their fire suppression went off, isn't it? Is it been fixed that you could actually move into it?
Yeah, it's.
Didn't that just happen?
That's why Ari was closed down for a while, because the fire suppression system triggered in the unit above them. So has that been renovated and fixed? Because that company is very slow in fixing anything downtown. You might not have an area to move into.
Sorry, but just to clarify, there's no first floor capability with our.
No, there is a front counter capability in the,
Don found the button, so we better.
Yeah, the dog has a question. No,
Yeah.
It's a totally different kind of lease too with the space over Ari. And let me tell you, as one who's rented for many years from Lexon, if that AC goes out, they're not covering it. We are. All the interior repairs would be on us. Whereas with the executive suites, everything is covered, to my understanding, right?
Is electric and internet also not included in that one?
no, it is included, but so in terms of mitigating 690, if we potentially get asked to leave, we can then move the front counter to the stick room like it was before.
And the residents loved
The
that.
residents liked it. It's not great, but it works. But it's not great, but it works. So, and it's easily accessible. Everybody knows where Lakeside is. There's plenty of parking.
So I would actually state that we need to do that anyway. I don't want to outlive our welcome somewhere. So I think that if we're going to make the motion to move our team and have a communications plan, to state that we're moving our team into the Bank of America or above, that's what we're doing, right? Yeah, above that area, then I think that we need to simultaneously state that we're moving front desk operations to the stick room.
It would probably have to be a week delayed because of summer camp.
Yeah, that's fine, but I think that we need to kind of make it as a single communications push, that this is where everyone's gonna be.
Is it possible to reach out to the foundation to try to get some term that mirrors what we're going to do here, as far as a 12-month or 24 or something like that?
They were only originally willing to give us through December 31 with the chance for discussion.
Because they're getting
Because they're getting lifelong at Island Village for free in the fall.
So would it be true to say we have 693 in the year?
You do currently have 690 under our current agreement.
Where they would pull out ahead of time.
I just think in terms of maintaining the relationship, it might be better to exit earlier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They're still housing a couple of our partner programs for us as well.
And I think from our conversation tonight, I think we probably want to look at a 12-month or 12-month.
So do we want, so Steely made the motion, right now it was.
Or would it be a 12-month with the 6?
The 12-month.
Yeah, 6 and 12, just flip it. Flip the motion.
So a 12-month,
6.
6.
Well, he said, okay, 12 and 6.
They'll give us 12 months?
Yes.
Okay.
So what would be, so as it's written right now, 68,600, that's
That's the annual cost.
That's
That'll be for 12 months.
12 months, okay.
And then for if you renew for 6 months, it'll step up to the normal rate, but for a shorter period.
And has Charlie looked at the agreement?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And all good?
He just wanted the board to understand it's a license agreement and not a lease, which gives them the ability to basically kick tenants out, but they're obviously not going to do that for us.
What happens in the event of do they have the ability to do a special stuff, like against CROA as like if something breaks, like would they ask?
No, the benefit of the executive suites is they're responsible for the maintenance and cleaning everything.
Okay.
We're just utilizing, they're giving us the ability to utilize the space.
Okay. Anything else?
Do we want to just do 12 and then 6 months, but then it would just be the base 6 months after that, after 18 months?
Yeah, we've got 12 and 6 was what?
Yeah.
I'm saying after 18 full months for us to.
Then we'll have to talk to them again and see what.
So I would almost want to do 2 6-month renewals built into the contract, so it's a full 2 years. Looking at, if we do it, that'll put us out to October 2024, or August 2024, or 26, excuse me. So.
12 and 2 6s or?
Yeah, 12 and 2 6s.
So a 12 with an option of 2 6 renewals.
Perfect.
What if you did 2 12s and you figured out a term clause that was more feasible?
There you go.
They won't do
That's
Yeah.
the way to go.
Yeah.
They won't do a term clause for the licensing agreement.
Thank you.
Oh, they won't.
I just don't want us to be under
Yeah.
18 months if.
The only way for us to determine is for it to
So-
turn out.
The 12 and, and again, it's hard, so assuming this all goes through, what time horizon do they have to get us something and then going out to, I mean, I know we're working hypotheticals, but is there any rough, like, and even from past?
I think the MPEG's groups, minimum 2 years.
They're very accurate, I think.
Is on.
Because
on the money.
whether or not you're repairing that building or you're knocking the thing down and putting a new one there,
Yeah.
we're looking at that time frame.
All right, so we've got a 12 and a 6. I'm going to call the question. We're good with 12 and 6? That's where we landed? All right.
I'm good.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion to ratify Arts and Park Committee's approval of the implementation of a moving fee for future Arts and Park homeowners at their closing in an amount equal to 2 quarterly Arts and Park assessments beginning on October 1st, 2024, as recommended by Arts and Park Finance Subcommittee. Funds collected will be placed in the Arts and Park Service Area Capital Fund. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
My understanding is this is going to operate as a capital fund. They've already approved it 5-0.
Yep, and they went through legal, did what they needed to do.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion to approve change order for Academy Road Meeting House Street Service Area as approved by the Service Area Committee by Cardinal paying the amount of $14,808 service area reserve funds. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
So just so that we're clear, this is the same motion that was up previously, but the Service Area Committee wants to review it. It sounds like they've reviewed it.
Rose and I and Celia met with them, they're good.
They're very
And
good.
if we have it in writing that they approve.
We got a compliment, Rose got a compliment, a really positive meeting.
Perfect. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, fee waiver request. Or motion to approve the fee waiver request.
I'll make the motion.
Celia,
I'll second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Non-compliance listing.
The updated list is behind your agenda.
To approve non-compliance items. Motion,
I'll move.
Second.
approved. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, management update. Is that, I think we're through action items, finally.
Yes, you are finally through action items.
Management update.
Before we move there while she's looking, because I wasn't prepared, Andrew, and I appreciate you putting that out there in terms of Grand Manor's contribution for Smart Webs. I am not privy to at least the details in terms of the extension of the contract through December 31st. However, what I will put out there is that because effectively with the current contract term, I think everyone knows the surcharge for payroll goes up 7% as of November 1. I am verbally saying, as part of our contribution and to show good faith, we'll keep it at 5% between now and December 31st, right? Because the other thing I put out there some time ago was, let's just renew for a year, we'll keep it at 5%, which on my last analysis saves the association $43,000 a year. So in that, we'll say between November, December, that's a 7,000 plus contribution on our part to say, we're here, we're your partners. We won't institute the 7% increase. We'll stay at 5%. And that's my means of saying, we're going to partner with this, we're going to partner with you and we'll give you just a good faith 7,000 plus between now and the end of the year, just as a gesture, because realistically, contractually, it goes up 7% as of November 1. Right?
So you're agreeable to our request of the extension through the end of the year?
Sure, why not? We can amend it to be the term, to just push the term to 12/31.
Right, but
what I'm saying is,
as of
November 1 in the current contract, the surcharge on payroll goes up 7%.
Yeah, I guess that's where you misinterpreted my recommendation from our board. Is
Yeah, which
that the last year's extent is going to be 5% for the rest of the year. It was never going to 7%.
Yeah, again, not privy to the conversation.
No, I know, but that's what.
But we would have
extension was,
had,
written up, that the third year of the first initial term was being extended to the end of the year.
I see. Okay, again, not.
Yeah, we're gonna, let's.
So what are we gonna go?
Yeah, let's do minutes on it. How's it going?
All right, so the inspector replacing the vacancy that's been sitting open for a while starts on Monday, so very excited about that. She actually has experience doing inspections in another Grand Manners community. She was just looking to move closer to home, so we think she'll be a great fit. Current vacancy is still a maintenance tech, the general manager, but the board is doing their interviews or meet and greets of the finalists tomorrow. We also have a new update from today. The maintenance lead position is vacant, but as discussed, we are modifying that job description. So it is a landscaping and project foreman position. So it's upping the qualifications. So we have an addition, somebody who's experienced in landscaping and project management, overseeing our vendors and the projects that are going on in the community. Town hall, obviously, moving forward with Click. Spring Park is going well. They are a little bit ahead of schedule and making good progress. East Park Crescent, Diane expected that playground. She is working with the equipment supplier on the additional paint for touch-ups, a replacement for the teeter-totter, and replacement of the swing with that chain strap, because those not safe.
What about the slide? That doesn't, the rollers on the slide?
Yeah, she's working with the manufacturer on that. She thinks it's just the bolts are over tightened, but she's waiting for them to confirm that. Exquisite is working with their turf vendor, and Brian has one coming out tomorrow, so we can get bids to fire that turf field. CCFC, Brian's team started that today. As Andrew mentioned, Gallagher is completely installed in all CROA locations, and if you didn't notice, there's actually a key card access on Heritage in the front now.
What's the holdup with Artisan?
They have some
Stupid bug.
additional configuration that they needed to do in terms of talking to town hall. We put them until last, so we would encounter all tripping points in the CROA areas first before we went to Artisan.
Are we getting, because it keeps coming up that Artisan, we're waiting on, Artisan, we're waiting on. Is it, I guess, are we confident that we'll get it resolved shortly, or is it something that we need to consider launching?
No, I think they're starting, we were gonna start this week, but the Artisan asked us to push it because of some scheduling issues on their end, so I think they're starting next week.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
The Space Force Monument boundaries. Any like updates on that or
So
anything?
we discussed it as a team and we were actually going to ask the board's permission to work with Albert on kind of a redesign of Founders because the monument's going to be, need to be completely reconfigured the way it is to add an additional piece for Space Force. There was a great idea to have a veteran kind of lead into the park and the founders lead into the park and they kind of meet in the middle of the memorial. And it also assists with the trampling of the landscaping by the kids going to and from the school. So that was kind of our plan moving forward with Space Force.
Thank you.
Is there any update on the CROA text messaging contract?
I need to follow up on that one.
And this may be a question more for the tech committee, but in the My Celebration Florida app, I thought there was the ability for us to merge tickets instead of, so if you have multiple reports from multiple residents about a single item, you can merge them together. Is that not actually the case? Or do we know?
I would say probably not the case, but question for Luca, and I can take that back and we can talk to CCD about that.
Okay, because I know.
It's not in Grand Matters control for that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's one of the pieces of feedback that I've seen on the app recently is there's a lot of things that have been closed out saying it's a duplicate request. But the challenge with the new app is that the resident can't see the other request, so they can't really follow along.
I haven't seen the ability to merge duplicate requests. I see that there's a hyperlink showing me other requests in that same area, but it doesn't tell me what those requests are unless I click on that.
Okay.
But yeah, we can add that to
That was
the,
something, I think there was an open request out to them for an enhancement to have almost like a parent request.
Yeah.
That then the child ones could be under,
They can just
for that kind of coordination
Yes.
that Grand Matters isn't getting 6 tickets for the same thing. And then they have to go through each one,
And update.
do the same thing, update or duplicate, whatever.
That's good. Don, what's up, Don?
Oh, no, sorry, I was smacking a fly.
He's waiting.
Katie.
I got nothing.
Lauren, has Charlie sent out the demand letter for the recalled slide at Lakeside?
he has not yet. We finally got a response from the actual supplier, so he held off on sending the nastygram to see if they would help us out nicely. It doesn't look like they're gonna do that, so he should be sending it out soon.
Okay, great. And any updates on where we are with the shade structures?
Yes, I met with 360 a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. They were not given accurate information from the previous general manager. That was corrected and they're moving forward.
Do you know like where they are in the process?
So they were not given the correct colors. They were not communicated timeframes. Pretty much there was a complete breakdown. So
Do we have like an estimated timeline at this point?
At this point, I think you're 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
From now.
From now.
And contract, we're all good with the contract and the deposit and all that. Anything
Thanks,
else?
Lauren.
I'll put their delay on them because it was the previous GMs.
All right, anything else? Management update?
Sorry, but just a question since it's not, I realize that it's Crescent Park and well, we're not talking this in. There has been some discussion with the GC and with Debbie about Spring Park, the construction going on here, that we will likely need to consider in the future, in the near future, fencing in the playground due to the proximity of it to the road.
For that and Long Meadow, yes.
And Long Meadow. With that being said, I think that we need to consider and we need to understand that we likely should look at an expense for putting a card reader on those gates, because I know that's been a question, and it's a lot cheaper for us to do that now while there's nothing on the ground. So I think, I know you and I talked about this briefly, but I think just to get a direction from the board, I would like to ask management to work with a low voltage vendor or of some kind in order to get a bid to, even if we don't utilize it in the immediate future, but to give us, you know, some sort of either a conduit chase or, you know, wiring that would need to be done in probably the locations that we would need for either card access or a security camera or something of that nature. Because even if we never use it, it's in the ground. And I think that we've had some lessons learned that, like with the dog park, if we have someone that this isn't what they do every day, we have problems down the road. So I think that we should just look at having a licensed vendor that this is what they do. Give us at least a proposal for that. We would need to probably do that in short order though, because we would want to do it before they put any of the safety surface down here.
Okay, that direction? Good.
Yes. And Liz texted me that the comms committee hasn't given us an official recommendation on this text messaging, so they're set to discuss that with the bid.
Okay. All right. I think we are finally, anything else on management update? No? Nope. Okay, 851 insurance reevaluation proposal. You all want to come up? Yeah. Thanks for staying. In hindsight, we probably should have rearranged the agenda a little bit more. You guys pull up chairs if you want.
What do you want us to sit?
Here. Okay, some chairs. Here. Take mine. There you go.
So do you want to paint a little bit of a background of
When Hurricane Ian came through, there was significant water intrusion in the town hall, so the bill came out, remediation. However, we also knew that there was already previous water intrusion. I had seen water intrusion in my office from when I had started in November 2021. And previous management company employees had told me that they were well aware of the water intrusion, not only in my office, but in the opposite corner in room 104. When CROA came out, we discussed with the board whether or not to file an insurance claim. SILE was consulted. Brian Hensel, who has a lot of experience in insurance, was consulted, and Bill Brindle, who also has a lot of insurance and building experience, weighed in, and the decision was made. The recommendation was from SILE was to not file an insurance claim, and because of couldn't tell what damage was where, and a lot of the remediation had to do with mold, which typically did not grow overnight from Ian. So that directive came from the board, and
so thoughts?
So together we have over 50 years of experience adjusting insurance claims. And we are hired by the insured, not the insurance company. So our responsibility is to the policyholder. Their insurance policies are extremely complex. And you could have water intrusion in one side of the building and water intrusion that may not be seen in another side of the building. And when that water intrusion now comes in on that other side of the building, it may cover coverage. Just because a building is leaking in one spot doesn't mean that the other spot of the building where the water just came in is not covered. You have water intrusion. There is a possibility there is coverage. There's a possibility there's not coverage. Also, with commercial policies, they are a lot different than homeowners policies. Homeowners policies have a limitation of 2 years to submit the claim. Commercial policies can have up to 5 years. And it depends on what that policy specifically says, that specific edition that it is. Insurance agents are not allowed to determine coverage. That's actually something that's written into the law, and the law says that only licensed adjusters, whether it be an insurance adjuster, an independent adjuster, our public adjuster, as well as attorneys, are the only ones who are allowed to decide what is coverage. Our proposal is that we come in, we take a look, we evaluate the entire thing. It is no cost to Celebration for us to come in and take a look at everything. We're going to look at the documents that you have. We're going to take a look at the building. We are going to talk with your permission, employees about stuff that had occurred, where it was, and everything else. Kind of get an assessment. We need to look at the insurance policy itself. The reason we need to look at this is because every few years those additions change. And it really depends on what addition you have. Because the 2022 edition is different from the 2020, which is different from the 2018. And so as the policies come out, there's all these changes, which may now have exclusions in the 2022 that aren't in the 2018. And so the older your policy, the less exclusions you would have in it. And that's one of the reasons that we want to take a look at it, is we want to see what addition you have, if there's coverage. And like I said, there's no cost to Celebration for us to come in and do this reevaluation. When we take a look at this, when we're done, we will let you know if there's anything, if there was anything, or if there is anything. At that point, it would be up to CROA on what their decision would be to move forward.
And just to add one thing, just because that there's water that you know about doesn't mean that it excludes a claim in total. What it means is that you should apportion that away from what your total loss is at the time. But you're looking at, I'm going to guess, because I'm not privy to your numbers, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to rebuild 851 building. And you were just talking about you have a shortfall where I don't know where you're going to get that money from.
The other thing is that even though there is damage that was hidden behind the walls and it's mold, and all policies exclude ongoing damage, but all policies also have conditions and they have certain terminology that's in it that may afford coverage to hidden damage. Because you're not aware that damage is there doesn't always mean that that damage is specifically excluded. And so if the policy has the wording in there that would allow the hidden damage to be covered because of another event, then there's a possibility that there may be additional coverages. And so, like I said, insurance is not easy. It's extremely complex. We're all lines adjusters. We've been doing this together for over, like I said, combined experience is over 50 years. This is all I've been doing my entire adult life since I left college. He's been doing this since before I was even graduated high school. But
She likes to do that all the time.
Yeah. But the whole thing is that it doesn't cost you guys anything for us to take a look at this.
Do an evaluation and present it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, we're using our time. We're doing this, we've lived here now for 10 years. We moved in, almost 11 years. We moved in the end of August of 2013. This town is important. Our kids have grown up here. It's very important to us that we make sure that everything goes as smoothly as it possibly can. And with CROA having this huge expense, if there's any way that we can help get money, that we would love to do that. I mean, like I said, this town is important to us. Our kids have grown up here.
We go around the horn and see.
So I think, I don't know if we need to go around the horn. I think the question that's been asked is essentially we need to provide the documentation over to you guys in order for you to be able,
yes,
to be able to do this and that sort of thing. The concern that I have, one of the things is there's going to be information in that quite honestly could paint us in a very bad light.
So we're bound by privacy laws.
So, which is good. I think the piece where we would likely want to go further after consulting with the attorney is we would likely want an NDA clause as a result of turning the documentation over.
That's fine.
That's fine.
So we would put that on there for the documentation to go over. The other question that we would have is once we're at the end of it, so you come to us and you say, hey guys, we think that there's a claim that you should file for these reasons and that sort of thing. I guess what happens at that point, because then there would be some sort of a cost, even though it's something that as an adjuster, you would collect a portion of the settlement essentially that we would get out of that. But technically that's a cost that we would do. Are we then bound to use you as part of that? I mean, I know obviously you want us to use you because you volunteer your time, but I think that's one of the questions that we have as a board.
So when it comes to it, anytime that we ever do any type of evaluation. The person we are doing or the company we are doing an evaluation for is under no obligation to use us. If they decide to use us, that's
Right.
entirely up to them. That's, you know, we would love you, of course,
There's
to
a
use
time
us.
savings because you've already looked at it.
Yes. The other thing is that we understand that, you know, sometimes people may be uncomfortable because we live here. You know, and they may be uncomfortable with that fact. And we would never push into a agreement of any sort where anybody has any type of questioning. And the reason is because that always creates problems. And it's not necessarily that it creates problems that could be like catastrophic or anything like that. It's a trust thing.
Sure.
And if somebody has questions about something, we have to be upfront, we have to be honest. And the other thing is that, like I said, of course, we would want you to use us. If you choose not to, that is entirely up to you. But at least you know what's going on. At least you have answers from people whose entire life has been fighting with insurance companies in order to get people paid. And I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, there's a lot of questions out there, and then the board can present these answers, whatever they so choose, to the community, and then the community knows really what's going on. There's a lot of transparency that the board then has the ability to give residents and saying, hey, look, they said this is their job. And, you know, there's been dozens of you guys who have used these people in town.
Sure. And
So
I'd like to just add is that people make mistakes. We're not trying to paint people in a bad light. You know, we're not going to say, oh, no, I can't believe you did that. You shouldn't have done that. We can come to you and say, yeah, I don't think we would have done it that way, but that's not our job. Our job is not to say that. Our job is to, you know, move forward, get a settlement from the insurance company if that's what it is, or tell you, hey, you know, you're right. There's nothing you can do now.
Yeah, okay. So I think if I would propose, if the board is comfortable, that we move forward with the initial reevaluation proposal as presented, barring the same, that we would include the same language that was provided by council for inclusion of an NDA for providing the documents over.
That's fine.
But, yeah, please ensure how successful have you been with multiple years after you've done the curves, getting into the pay.
Depends. I'm sure.
It depends, but I'd say at least like 80% of the time we're able to get a settlement. If it's been two years plus.
And now we're talking about 5 figures, 6 figures.
We've done things from small
to
multi-million stuff to
10,
multi-million.
20, 30 million.
I appreciate you guys volunteering, but I think the facts of the case are quite terrible. Like, there isn't anything going on here, so looking at what's the end case of you do your due diligence, could we file a claim? Yes, but likelihood of 80% getting denied, and file a claim, then you're gonna get.
Reaching the food, baby.
Insurance. So there's things of, I'm fine doing the due diligence, I just don't want anyone getting their hopes up that it's gonna go beyond that, because it may not make sense to file a claim.
No, I didn't say 80% denied, I said 80%.
No, that was fine, I'm just saying that, but I'm saying, it's, I'm fine doing the due diligence, but I don't want to get anyone's hopes up that there's going to be any type of payout and get beyond that.
Don has
As
his
long as
hand.
you guys are comfortable, then.
Don has his hand up.
Don, what's the hand again?
Two things. Want to fully disclose, I've worked with them before on an insurance claim. USAA originally proposed that we would get a measly $6,000. They got me $33,000. So I can attest to their success. I don't know if it's in every case, but man, they fought hard to get me some money, and it worked. But I have worked with them, so I want to disclose that.
So, Lauren, do you need a vote from us to move forward with this, or what would be the easiest? Because I know we've had a lot of discussion about that.
So Charlie needs to draft up the NDA agreement. Okay. And you'll have to vote to approve that at upcoming meeting.
So we need a consensus now, so, you know, it's dropping an NDA.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I think that if we're just coming on to approve an NDA, does that needs to go to a board meeting?
You can put on your works out.
Yeah, but Charlie could have the NDA drafted by the end of the week. This isn't rocket surgery.
Yeah, I mean, you can do an online approval through resolution and then ratify at your next meeting.
Yeah, I would rather do that.
The online approval has to be unanimous, all 7 members.
That's fine. I think that, you know, and then if we don't, then we kick it out. I just think, I mean, we held a special meeting to approve sod. So I'm kind of like, you know, this is we should just go ahead and move forward with this.